Then we wouldn't be sitting here wondering why it was $11,000 one year and now it's $3,200.
Which makes, and the mattresses are a huge chunk in of that budget right now.
What happens to the mattresses?
If we're able to salvage them, fix them, we save them. If we're not, they get thrown away.
Because they're cut?
Ripped, torn, shredded, where you can't repair them. Again, once they're vinyl mattresses, heavy duty.
I've slept on one.
Oh yeah, but once they get torn, ripped, and shredded, and you want to then non-repairable, or it's been saturated with whatever body fluids that you can't get back out of there, they become
All right.
unusable.
So how many you replace a year, roughly?
Well, it looks like they haven't been, because the budget hasn't really been there. So that's why we're increasing it to get some mattresses.
Well, something happened in 2013 that was extraordinary. We either bought a lot of clothing, or we bought a lot of blankets, or we bought a lot of mattresses, because it's
Yeah.
$8,000 more than any other year.
2013.
All right. Yeah, break that out so that,
Yep.
so that clothing is clothing.
Mhm. You highlights vehicle expenses, we asked for less. I guess you want to go to the biggest hot tickets, which is maintenance and equipment repairs?
Let's go back up to electronic monitoring.
Electronic monitoring.
It's down $4,000. You're gonna have less people out on electronic monitoring?
I think it was overestimated last year behind people out in electronic monitoring. Be honest. Yeah, I think it was previously budgeted to have 6 people out, and realistically, there weren't 6 people out all year long.
You got 4 out now?
Now,
Yeah.
we had 4 out. Some people are leaving, so we're not gonna have 4 out. We have some people that are coming eligible, that'll be back out. We're anticipating to be closer where we think we're gonna be. We're anticipating 3 per week, and anything above that would be great.
Okay.
Again, some depends on the courts, those kinds of things, so I didn't want to overestimate.
Okay, heating, electrical expense.
Well, if you amortize this out, that comes out to roughly $87,000, and they're asking for a $3,000 increase with the way the price of electricity's going up.
Yeah, what I did is I took per month up to September, and I just divided it out for the rest of the year. Electricity, I went downstairs and they said they were under a contract for electricity, and Kathy said we didn't anticipate would go anywhere. I'm like, okay.
Heating expense.
Yep, that's where I took it out for the rest of this year, where we're at to the end of the year.
So you had 90,000?
Mhm.
Well, if you extrapolate it, it comes out to about 106,000, you got 115, Jason. Except that it's gonna get colder in the next 3 months.
Correct. I took what we were paying per month, what we paid per month up till September, and of course divided and got the average for the rest of the year, in hopes that it's close for next year. Again, it has fluctuated. It went down now, but is it going to go back up again? Last year, when the first budget was under budgeted, Commissioner Babson was like 70, and they bumped up to 90.
Yeah.
And he still went over it.
Michael, yeah,
Last year, when
Last
we
year.
raised it back up to 90, you still went over it.
correct.
105.
Yeah.
Okay. Telephone expense has gone up $1,000?
It was been under budgeted for the past couple of years. I don't know. Last year was under budgeted, and again, taking out what our telephones are, which is all the telephone lines, your internet, cell phone reimbursements. I have everything. And let's see, Fairpoint Communications, Time Warner Cable, Verizon, Spyglass Group, which is a part of our,
Which reminds me, he never called me back. I gotta call him again, not you. We called up Spyglass to
Spyglass.
see how much of the savings they projected we actually got, and he hasn't called me back.
Okay.
those are your expenses out of that line. And it was overspent last year. I'm assuming it's gonna be, I checked downstairs, probably overspent this year, because it looks like, again, it was under budgeted from last year to this year. Because you're at, as of October 31st, 94% spent.
On which item, Jason?
Telephone.
Okay.
Okay.
The laundry expense, there's another one. It's on, from 2012 to 2013, it doubled.
Yeah, but then it went back down 2014.
And the only thing that's been on a laundry expense is the general linen for the sheets. Those kind of, those that our system doesn't get hot enough to sanitize them.
It can't be done in-house.
No, our system, our water doesn't get hot enough to sanitize them. That's why it's sent out. I believe nursing home sends theirs out too. Same thing.
Okay.
We can't buy a machine that raises the water enough to sanitize them?
The temperature, you mean?
Wasn't that what he's saying? You can't
Yeah, it
get
doesn't
the
get,
temp-
that's what I'm told. Doesn't get hot enough to sanitize them. I can most certainly have somebody give us an estimate.
So what happens, Jason? You send all the clothes out to be washed, or you just,
Just the sheets. The linen, that's all goes out. We wash the offender's clothing, but the
That's what I
linen
thought.
itself.
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about sanitizing those?
Well, they get sanitized, but the sheets, I guess, need to be at a higher temperature to be all sanitized.
Have you ever seen one of these sanitizing machines?
No.
Are they big, or are they just a tank with an extra hot water?
Other place I was at, they did their own, but their water got up to the temperature, whatever. There is, I know that they have a full-time laundry person on Merrimack, and they know what temperatures everything has to be at. And I know the sheets and stuff had to be a higher temperature. Theirs reaches that temperature.
Mhm.
Ours do not. Now, I don't know if we can get something to change that. I mean, I can definitely, as a long-term
Look
plan,
into it.
look into that.
Yeah.
Why can't we get another water heater and increase the temperature on the other water heater that we need to use to sanitize it? There must be other options.
I have a point of information. Earlier, Bob Murray was talking about
The ozone.
I'm sorry, I can't find the name of it, the system
Ozone?
Ozone.
to save on hot water because
Ozone.
this new system makes the water hotter.
Hotter.
So
Ozone.
it appears that he's already looking into that. Maybe he could do it for the jail as well.
And there was a talk of centralizing laundry possibility. And I know he's looking at that as the old nursing home, which could be a possibility. It was cheaper to, they had the right temperatures to send our stuff over to there long term.
Okay, we're looking at $5,000 basically. Travel expense.
Exact same, last year. Covers all the, to every training, sending people to academies, if they don't have access to a cruiser, depending on what's being used, covers all those costs. And it is not going to be spent this year, because again, we used the Relias Learning and did not go as many conferences in education, so I put a freeze on some stuff so we didn't use it.
Are you saying that can be reduced?
I'm saying we'd like to, hopefully next year we can actually use it. This year we froze it because we bought Relias instead,
Okay.
which, since we used that money, we couldn't spend money on education and conferences, so thus your travel went
All
down.
right.
We had to take it out of somewhere.
Vehicle expenses are down. 4,000?
Yes. And when I get together with Joe's on vacation, and I maybe I'll cut that back a little more too. I just need him to come back and need to ask a couple more questions.
You have 2 vehicles?
3.
You have 2 for transporting and 1 for food?
Oh, you have the truck for food. Yeah, I guess you have 4 vehicles, yes. You have
4.
the truck for food, the 2 cruisers with a cage, and 1 without a cage. So 2 for the cage or transport offenders around, 1 without a cage is training classes, academy when available, home checks, all those kinds of things are used for that vehicle.
Do we need 4 vehicles, Jason?
Need the truck for food, has to be separate.
Okay, so
And
there's,
I can give you the breakdown figures of all the transports we do. We do,
we don't need the figures, and just in your estimation, do you need the 3?
yes, and we need to look at a capital plan of replacing as we move along. We got the,
You know, why don't we look at the sheriff's vehicles? We just sold 2 for
$3,800.
$3,800.
if I understand that is the commissioner's prerogative to swap them over to the jails, a lot of places do. We weren't asking for a cruise this year. The ones we have are fine. It's long-term when you look at it. We sent one out this year under that vehicle and repaired all the rust that was on it. The frames is great, the motor's great. It just needed body work, so I was able to do the body work on it and we'll get a few more years out of it so we don't have to have the cost. But yes, as the sheriff transitions into vehicles, it would be great if,
Next year, you need to look at what's available from the sheriff's department.
yes.
Generator expenses going up?
Let me see. Generator expense. That is just the contract that we signed. Just went up $100 for next year.
You know, generator expense, we ought to shift all those generator expenses out under maintenance.
Yep.
Next year.
Could you take my regular maintenance out? Put it somewhere else too? Also with the vehicle expenses, it's not just the vehicles, that's all our gas as well too. Comes out of that line as well.
Okay. Care of Grounds is another one that would,
Which is the waste management.
oh,
It's okay, I had to learn this year what it was too.
That's all it is, you said?
Yeah,
Or,
so the management of just the waste management company.
Let's change that to trash removal. No?
It looks like it was significantly more expensive one time. I'm not sure what the county was paying for before, but all my bills, all it is now is the waste management.
so we take out Care of Grounds and put trash removal?
I would.
Waste removal
Or waste removal, you want?
Now, is waste removal, could that be under maintenance also? The pumping of our septic system is under septic. All right, we'll leave it here for now.
Okay.
Whoa,
Yeah, whoa.
maintenance and building repairs,
Mm-hmm.
up $20,000.
Well, we're overspent by $8,623.76 as it is right now on maintenance and building repairs. As I said at the delegation meeting as well, $20,000 for $8.5 million building to 13 years, going on 13 years old is not a lot to keep a building going. And I can go over some highlights of this year. A lot was boiler stuff. They're at the end of their life. It was $3,000 for a boiler. Replacement of heater tubes was $8,000. All stuff that happened. The repair of the HVAC system was $5,000. Plus the miscellaneous stuff that went through as we went along. Those are the big highlights. And again, equipment repairs. And I had broken down here. You're looking at next year, and we did have a company come in, and hopefully they'll give us they're looking at the 5-year plan to figure out where these things are, so we can start looking at planning for the future,
Mhm.
boilers, HVAC system.
We replaced one boiler, right?
Yes.
Just
So
the hoses.
The tubes.
The tubes.
The tubes.
But
And we're gonna have to replace the other one.
it's quite possible, replace one, replace the other. Yeah, you replace a boiler, I think that'll be a much bigger cost. Do you want me to run through what we're looking at for maintenance stuff next year, or submit that to you, or?
Well, somehow or other, we gotta reduce either equipment repairs or maintenance building repairs. You got $55,600.
When Joe gets back on vacation, I can try to work on some more and see if we can knock some down.
What were you planning to fix for equipment for $15,000?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna.
Well, it's HVAC, AC units, replace parts, belts, bearings, air filters, motors, valves, small cooling fans, GE variable drive system, replace VAV valves, need at least 6 replace burned out units, electrical supplies, GF outlets, wire, piping, boxes, switches. That's just $10,000 alone.
Okay, well, I guess what you read off to me, Jason, would be a building repair and maintenance for the building, as opposed to equipment. I would think your equipment would be,
The way they have broke down before, I mean, if it was equipment, it's already, I don't know. That's the way it's been broken down. We can change things around. It's been broken down here. The way this county's done it is the counter that as equipment repairs, because it's already HVAC system's already there. It's broken system, repair it. Now, maintenance and building repairs, I'm still trying to get a handle how this has been broken down in the past. I mean, I have all Joe's breakdown here of everything that he's looking to fix. You have a snow blower that he's held together with, strings, trying to keep the snow blower running. We have to, all the rec yards have to be snow blowed out for emergency purposes and those things. We have equipment that is just falling apart. We have a staircase out back, which I'm getting some quotes that doesn't pass safety inspection, which needs to be repaired one way or another. We have some things end of its cycle that need to be looked at for maintenance purposes. Do I think when you guys talked about putting maintenance under one roof so it could be allocated someday, I think it's a good idea.
Well, we have a snow blower in maintenance.
But again, it's one. In the jail, the same thing too. You have employees coming out of there. All have to be done. There's only so much one snow blower can take care of nursing home, jail.
I know, a nursing home is a big item for a snow blower. You're right.
Correct. We're not, and one of these areas is not as expensive, I'm sure, what they would need. But I mean, it's things like that are at the end of their cycle. And I can give you a breakdown, a list of everything.
Okay. I think we're gonna need a breakdown for those two items. Maintenance and building repairs and equipment repairs.
Yep, I have those.
Okay. What was the maintenance labor, $2,000?
Wrong line. It got moved. It was in the wrong line, it got moved.
Okay. Water usage stays the same, photocopy expense stays the same. Insurance,
stays the same.
Firearms training bothers me. It bothered me right from the start. Now it's gone up another almost $3,000. What's included in that $10,000 item?
All your ammunition, I just signed a bill for around $6,000 or $7,000 for ammo.
Winchester T-Series duty ammo, 9mm rounds, 50 rounds.
The only time they use that is in transporting, right?
Firearms?
Firearms,
Yes, that's when they carry, yes.
just transporting.
Correct. And we do a lot of transports.
Okay, but just
And
transporting.
and hospital duties.
And what?
Hospital duty, anytime with their offender.
All right.
Home checks, hospital duties,
But this is strictly training.
and not just, it's training and all the firearms, all the equipment that comes with training. Because you have to, ammo is not cheap. Because you have,
I still have a problem with that.
did you want to break down what it was? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
9mm ammo, 50 rounds, 45, 50 rounds, Winchester 45. That's duty carry ammo. Then you have the ball ammo for practice rounds, which 500 rounds, which is 500 rounds for which is cheaper. 12 gauge shotgun rounds. The bird shot rounds for when you're practicing, so that way it's cheaper and doesn't destroy your shoulder. This also includes in there your taser cartridges. For our tasers, as we use them, and then they get to
I have
replace
no problem with that.
the taser
I don't
batteries.
consider that firearms, though.
Again, if you want broken down in a different way, we can break it down in a
Right.
different way. Your less than lethal ammunitions, less than lethal pepper spray, and targets, and that's what's encumbered in that line.
How many officers are qualified to carry a weapon? Or how many, does every correctional officer over there do transporting?
No. By the RSA, what it says is that the transport team will be put together under the permission of the commissioners, and that they have certain criteria. They have to be the training. They have to pass the qualification course. The qualification for firearms is it's very difficult over where they have it set up. Sergeant Baker, I will give him this props. Compared to a lot of other places, he has made the qualification course very, very difficult. And part of that reason being is these guys don't go to the full-time police academy and get weeks and weeks of firearm training. We have to do it here. So the qualification course here is even tougher than the police standards and training because of, we'll make sure that we have the proper people out to be able to handle weapons.
How many people do transporting?
All of them.
Okay, so we got
Sergeant.
certain,
Yes, we
Go
have
ahead.
certain, we have about probably people that are certified,
Yeah.
eight or nine people
8
certified.
people that do transporting.
Mhm.
They also do hospital duty?
Yeah.
Or does
Yes.
anybody, any correctional officer do hospital duty?
The policy is you available on the transport team with a weapon, emergency situations, if somebody's not on, or we can't find somebody to come cover that's there, the last resort is take a taser and go there, because it's not so much the offender a lot of times, it's the family and people that show up. So that's the policy. Like U.S. State Prison, they carry weapons, and it's 2 people have to go to the hospital. We're sending 1 usually to the hospital to stay. Yes.
Why are you hung up on that?
Well, it's limited use. If you've only got 2 or 3 people that are transporting, those 3 people should carry a weapon and should be qualified, certified. But not everybody over there has to be certified.
Not everybody is. But the rounds you're talking about are to keep up their qualifications and certifications. I mean, you're looking at 500 rounds, which is the 45 ammo. 500 rounds is not that many rounds to do for a qualifying course of trying to get those people through. I mean, it's not high volumes of rounds. The 9mm is more rounds, 1,000 rounds, but that's, again, most of them have 9mm weapons over there, and you have to shoot every year and qualify every single year. It takes a lot of rounds.
Okay.
It's not.
Does that go out for bid?
God forbid, no, because he doesn't buy it all at one time, buys it throughout the year.
Doesn't matter.
So
It doesn't matter whether you buy it all at one time, or if you buy it separately in the year, if it's over $5,000 collectively,
But is
goes
it-
out for bid.
But as but it's different, I'm just asking. It's different ammo, between 9, 45, different types of ammo. Does that make a difference? I mean, if you're buying $500 worth of 9mm ammo, $5,000, then would it go out to bid? If you're buying from different companies, because he looks and finds the cheapest one of shotgun ammo over here, 9-round ammo over here. I just want, does it,
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
The
we do it-
goal should be to get the best quality for the cheapest price.
and that's what he does, that's why
If
it's
you have to
not,
make 15 calls,
that's why he doesn't use the same company for each one.
and, which reminds me, that last one that I signed was for the sheriff's department. Why, and that, because I went to see him, why don't you guys get together when you're gonna buy it? You may not be able to reduce the price an awful lot, but if somebody's gonna get $15,000 worth of ammo instead of 7, I can guarantee you then they'll take something off the
Yeah,
price.
we talked last year, so we're gonna sit down with Dominic and see if he
You
gets
know
the
what?
same
I
thing.
want to relate it to when we have a timber cut. We have to put it out for bid, whether they're taking pine, oak, maple, whatever, chips, goes out to bid. But if we don't send it out for bid for chips, and we don't send it out for bid, I mean, it's together. I guess I don't see any
Where the
difference.
hell did you get that analogy?
Well, it's true.
Well, I suppose, but it's out there.
Why isn't the
Yeah.
45s and the
Well, and-
shotgun
and-
shells and,
Oh, and let me back this up too, because when we add that, when you go to taser cartridges, batteries and all that stuff, it's not over $5,000 for the ammo.
okay. Glad you explained that.
Yeah, that's why I have it broken down here.
Anyway you look at it, Jason, I want you working with the sheriff's department, Mr. Baker working with the sheriff's department,
Yeah.
to see if we can't get a better price on our ammo, because we spend, between the sheriff's department and your department, we spend a lot of money on the ammunition.
Point of information. Today, because of the political arena, a lot of availability, there is a problem. So it also impacts the price. And then when availability is restored, sometimes it's in such quantity that it does bring the price back down again, where you have an opportunity for better prices.
Yeah, if you bid at the wrong time, you're,
Exactly.
Okay, new equipment.
Dick?
What do you got on the new equipment?
10 handcuffs, 2 belly belts, which we're gonna have to look at the belly belts, because once a vet's.
We don't have enough handcuffs?
We have older handcuffs, we're trying to make everything standardized. We don't, we have, last year he bought some more to bring every, and this year's trying to buy some more, so we all are using the same handcuffs, the same brands, the same type. It shouldn't be all over the map of, somebody's got a Peerless, somebody's got a Smith & Wesson, somebody's got this, somebody's got that. So we're trying to standardize our equipment, that's, needs to be done. Belly belts, we're gonna have to look at a couple. Why? When you go to court and those kinds of things, in training, just for training purposes, each handcuff's a little bigger, a little smaller, hand fit's a little different. You wanna make sure everybody's being trained on the same equipment and properly trained. If they went to the sheriff's department, they, all had the same equipment. Most PDs, it's the same equipment. You're training on the same thing. And there are some ones that they were bought because of whatever in the past, were very inexpensive items that shouldn't have been bought. But, I mean, they're looking at 10 pairs, a lot.
I think they were $85 a pair the last time I signed a bill. It was
35.
something like, they were expensive, I know that.
$35 a pair. That's what it is here.
All right, what else is there?
Belly belts, 2 of them, because we're gonna have to go to some chain belts with the US Marshals. We've already talked to them. We're gonna have to use a different type of belt with them, and they'll come up and train staff. But we also need 2 anyways for the cruisers. Leg shackles, duty belts. I meant to cut that out. The training department is looking for some guns.
Somewhat?
Guns to they got a couple things. It can be cut out, not cut out. Some discussion on that. You guys allowed them to use their own duty weapons if they qualify with their own duty weapons. There's 2 schools of thought. Maybe we should own them, just like the computers, the county should own, just like the guns, we should own them. They should be qualifying on the weapons that we own and the equipment maintained by what we own. And again, that can be cut out, not cut out, something to look for in the future as well too. But some are in there for right now to take a look at.
I think for the future, the weapons ought to be owned by the county. My personal feeling.
County doesn't have a good record of keeping track of their weapons.
In the sheriff's department? I'd
Yes.
agree. Go
I
ahead.
think that if the individual owns it, they're apt to take better care of it.
So you think the individual ought to own it?
Yep.
Okay.
Storage locker for the ammunition, again, stack it up with Ben, or like to actually be able to lock it up. We need more radios. They break and replace them, so we're looking at getting replacing 5 radios for next year, and 10 batteries. And I didn't miss this one, but I want to take $2,000 out of the bottom line of this right off the top, which I should have done already, but I didn't.
Under which item?
The new equipment.
Take $2,000 out of it?
What was, yeah, what do I have it at? It's,
6445.
oh no, I already took it out. Okay, 6445. Oh, all right, I took it out. This was much higher when it was submitted to me. I redacted, took out some things that they were looking for and dropped it down already.
Okay. Information technology. $17,000.
That is the contract.
That's your contract?
That's the portion of our contract.
Well,
But it's being moved out.
yeah, that definitely is moved out, going to be moved out.
Yeah, that's why it shows nothing.
Okay. So your budget is roughly up,
$129,968.
okay.
With some room in those couple of spots we talked about to bring it down a little bit. So.
Okay.
Just for clarification, the items like the IT and the supplies from the nursing home, did you take those out when you're figuring the difference? Okay.
IT, yes, not the nursing home. That just went to a different line.
Okay.
I just got moved up the line.
All right, thank you. I didn't move that.
All right. What do you get for revenue?
I don't know,
Do you have a revenue sheet?
no, I don't have it. But I have what the revenue is. If we're able to keep 3 on electronic monitoring next year, which is, I think, more realistic goal, you'll get $10,920, and the income for the phones that go back to the county is $16,800, so $27,720 of back to the county. Does include if we have more electronic monitoring, and if we get some Fed holds, so those things are not included there because I can't include them in there. But that's what I can say, that pretty comfortably that's what's going back to the county.
Roughly 27,000.
Correct. 2,800, 27, yeah. The phone is a set fee per month now instead of fluctuating all over the place.
Who made up this agenda? Obviously, they hadn't done any budget work before.
So the bottom line, your budget is up 77,000?
about right. $105 roughly.
Yeah, 105.
Take away 28.
Comes down around 77, 78,000.
Take away 28 from,
And that's not including wages.
where are you taking 28,000? Where'd that,
The 28,000 is the revenue.
oh, okay,
Take it away from the difference.
okay.
Somewhere we gotta reduce your budget.
We also need from you, Jason, or maybe, who did we ask? Did we ask them the last time? I can't keep track. Top 2 or 3 people if they were to leave.
I have that already.
You really need 42,000 in overtime.
If it continues, if you look back the way, past couple of years, then yes. Again, if the contract goes through, if we get stabilized with staffing, then yes, it would go down, because we wouldn't send me, next year probably wouldn't, because we still have a bunch of people send to the academy. But after that, you would think it would start to go down if we start keeping people, because the academy, that's them leaving, filling in for them, and hiring new people. Like I said, they can't work the floor. Yes, they're hired, but they can't work the floor yet. Once they can work the floor and get them certified a little bit in some areas, then the overtime would go down.
Don't forget, David, we're gonna have some adjustments here if for this ridiculous medical expense that you can't control.
You can't control that, but you can control overtime.
The way to control that is to make sure that we don't have a 50% turnover, we have something less.
If the union contract goes through, I would reduce that overtime by $12,000.
You can, but like I said, still have to send all those people to the academy next year, and I'm not sure how much you still have to replace. I mean, with your minimum staffing level, which is not very high to begin with. I mean, so to run the operation of the jail, I can drop it down.
I'm not voting to reduce it. I think that's penny wise and pound foolish. We need to increase.
You don't know what the union contract is.
No, but I know that we got a problem when in 2 years you have 100% turnover in help, and you're turning around and paying $500 or $600 each one of them to train them, and while they're gone, you got to pay overtime. I just think that we need to have some slack of all the items. We need some slack in that.
I did comparison, like I said, to the facilities that are close to us, Co-op, Belknap, and those kinds of things. Belknap uses a lot more part-timers. Their budget's triple about what ours is for part-timers. So looking at Co-ops, in which there are less staffing and less vendors, they're using roughly about the same amount of overtime. And that's why he builds in. He builds in overtime and also builds in relief factor for every officer added to his line as well too, which we don't really do that, but.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, I don't, sir. Let's recess.
You got anything else?
No, sir.
How many visitors do we have in
Right
our
now?
jail?
It was like
Off
44.
the top of your head. How
Like
much?
44 inside.
44.
Inside. A few more.
We double that and count them twice, and we've almost got up to that 71 average.
Well, again, right after the holidays, we'll get another spike. Like last, I mean, it shows every year. It showed last year too. Like I said, 76 right after the holidays. So
Okay.
Jason, the citrus crew was complaining yesterday. We haven't completely solved working at night and then working in the daytime.
again, they're not
And
pulled out to work unless they volunteer. And we told them not to volunteer. And the other problem with that, as I looked into it too, was they're not pulled out every single day to the farm. It is what the farm needs.
Yeah.
So not all those guys are pulled every single day. So sometimes they work at night because they're the only ones their minimum to be able to work at night, and next thing you know, they're being called out the next day. They're on a list. There's some that are steady eddies, they definitely don't go out at night. There's some just on a list as needed by the farm, and all those guys work at night because they want something to do, and next thing you know, next morning, they're being pulled out by the farm.
Do you need a better schedule from the farm? Is that what you need?
I can talk to Will, see if he's can get up with a better schedule. That would help us out to know who he's gonna have next day, but I'm not sure he always knows, but I can definitely talk to him.
The other thing is, we don't have that many to put out. I think he had 4 there yesterday.
Yeah, but I might put it out.
He could use more,
You could use more.
yeah, but we don't
The
have.
firewood?
Yeah, and then they bring them in and then they work at night. These are inmates, not slaves.
No, I agree. Like I said, that's when I looked at the last time we ran into.
I thought we had it,
Like I said, is the people that are on the list of, that can go out to work, doesn't always take them. And so they have working at night because gives them something to do. And next thing you know, they get pulled out in the morning. Again, we have limited crews to even work because they have to be,
they also,
Can you use in-house inmates that are in a different category than those that you can let out?
for cleaning inside.
Yeah.
We can. There were some issues with some contraband that happened, but we can definitely take a look back at it again.
All right.
And I'll also talk to Will as well.
Thank you, Jason. For the first time, you've done a good job,
For the first,
but it's too high. I know it's gonna get reduced, whether we do it or they do it. And I know there's some expenses, medical expenses that you can't control. You don't know who you're gonna get in tomorrow.
I guess the biggest one to put it up, medical, maintenance, legal. Those are your big ones. The legal, I'm predicted of some of those issues that are there. Medical, no. Maintenance, again, I'm just looking not to be under budget for maintenance with those things that went, and pretty much soon the next side boiler is gonna need those same hoses and the things that are, so they wanna cut that again. My concern is, as I came here, was how, guidance from you guys next year is, what do you do when it breaks? You fix it. It has to run.
Has the roof been fixed?
Not yet. We're on the list to get fixed.
Okay.
They've spoken to Joe, and or hopefully this week they'll come up, or next week, but
Okay. Thank you.
thank you.
Make a motion, we adjourn until
no, recess.
recess until 1 o'clock.
Okay.
All right, we're back. We're back from recess. We're back in the regular session.
I hope you brought us up a budget, because they didn't give us a copy.
They didn't have it till this morning. I drafted something real quick. As you know, it's been kind of hectic.
Oh, one of these, I guess, was for Mrs. Kenney. She probably won't need it.
Should be 2 pages, should be 4 pages total.
I get 13, 14, 2 pages.
4 pages total. 2 for sheriff
I need a revenue somewhere.
and 2 for, there's no revenue.
There's no revenue.
What the kind of organization we running here?
He doesn't have a
Just
revenue.
2 for sheriff and 2 for dispatch. And revenue is, I don't believe it's gonna change. This is for, get some more secretary. Just in case.
I get one, do you?
Yeah. I gave
I
you.
just, no, I just got 2
All right,
pages. You said it was 4.
You gave me your other 2.
No, I gave him the one that was just a copy of mine. That's
Hey.
what I gave to Asha. Or Asha's ghost.
You want that one?
Yep.
You want this one?
There you go.
I got
I'm
2.
looking for 15. There we go.
from the
We're in
sheriff
business.
and
Let's
2
go.
from dispatch. All right,
Let's go.
let's go. Ah, dear.
Basically, any of the wages is obviously in limbo with negotiations
Right.
and the uncontrollables as far as insurance
And
is.
the salary, the money that's in there right now is based on previous year's union contracts. All these raises, so from 111 to 156? No?
111, what is paid through, we paid through
That's through
9
September.
months. Is 156 represent what was the last?
Adopted last year, right?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
So anything that's changing is in that dotted column, obviously, that last column. And again, wages are all the unknown. All the insurances are the unknowns, depending
Yep.
on what the state
Yep.
sends us. So everything
What-
else, I was
No,
gonna.
what do you mean, no special details? You
No
got
speed-
cutting that back?
No speed detail, right. That $20,000 represents only the Albany dedicated detail.
Okay,
Okay, well, what is the no speed? Is that the
And
no
as you
speed one?
see,
I don't even remember
last year
that.
we had 23,520.
Yeah.
The $3,520 is what was provided by a grant from the state to do speed detail. We would do
okay,
radar and seatbelt checks and stuff like that.
okay.
So we did not put in for that this year,
Okay,
or for next year. That number, as you see, as of this year, we've spent, well, that line is 36,400. That will
Yeah,
also be reflected on revenue.
okay,
That is from, also that line consists of commercial details, which have been plenty this year from here to Comeau.
mhm.
So-
well, we should be showing then,
And
what
it's
we
in-
should be showing then, on revenues, at the end of 9 months, we should be showing something greater than 36,000.
Well, no, I mean, you're gonna
Because
show.
that's what you're paying out,
Right.
which supposedly taking in more than that and making money on details, so it should be
Yeah.
40, 41, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah, I said will be reflected.
Okay.
The
Better-
20,000 will be there for Albany, and I
Right.
believe right now the figure that I was given from our office was 22,000 has been taken in from outside details. So that would make that 42,000.
So that's $8,000 more.
You said you've only taken in 22?
From outside details.
But you got 16, you got 20 from Albany, and you got 16 left over, and he's taking in 22. To me, that's 16, 4, $6,000 more.
Wait a minute, what am I missing? You pay, the
36,000.
20,000 is what we pay out.
Well,
For
we
the
also,
detail.
That is the known figure, is what we'll call that.
But that's what we pay out, David.
yeah, but he's.
We should be taking in,
No, 'cause- and we do take it.
what
You're
you get from the
missing-
Fed shouldn't be this figure, it should be something greater.
And it is.
Okay,
This line is only reflecting, when we budget for it, only reflects the knowns, which is the Albany detail. I mean,
Okay.
at the time was the speed detail. We're not gonna do the speed detail, so now it's just the Albany detail.
Yeah.
The unknowns are any commercial details that we get throughout the year, so we really can't put a figure on that.
Right.
okay.
I mean, I would hope comfortably I could put $5,000, and anything above is whatever, but
Yeah.
again, I'm
You don't
not
know.
gonna do that.
Yep. Okay. What's the salary personal days? None spent in,
Those all get
14?
spent out at the end of
the
this
year.
month, basically. When the contract says that checks have to be cut.
yep.
Why is that a separate line item, and why didn't it just go into salary?
That's a commissioner's choice.
Do you know why, David?
I think it's to better track it,
Yeah. Personal days,
because if some people use them, then they won't get that full payback.
Yep.
Or the three-quarter.
Okay.
okay. Overtime. Jesus.
We're pretty right on schedule. And that's to cover cover days off and vacations and any other shortages. People go to training, then we might have an open shift. So between that and part-time, that's how that gets covered. And then obviously your call-outs and
The next item, salary for secretary. Is that 2 secretaries or 1?
that is one. The other one is in the administrative line.
Not a bad salary.
I did forget that the sheriff's line will go up that 40 cents an hour, or whatever it computes out to for.
You didn't figure that in?
No, that doesn't reflect on this, so.
On which line item is that?
The sheriff's salary.
The what?
The sheriff's salary. I think I remember the delegation approving the sheriff's line and elected officials to get the
That's right.
40 cents.
We got 40
Whatever.
cents. We got a raise.
Whatever it comes out.
Chandler gave it all to all the elected official with a 40-cent raise. I don't know how they figured this.
It was 40.
Yours for you is okay,
That
but
doesn't
ours,
sound like generous Gene.
yes, he did. Surprised everybody, I think. So are you saying that figure's in there or it isn't in there?
Is not in there,
It's not in there.
no.
Well, did you do anything special for that extra 40 cents?
No comment. So I believe it's gonna be $832 that line goes up.
What is it gonna be?
$832.
Well, that's right, the whole discussion was that was $832 a year,
Yep.
at 40 cents.
Yep. Court bailiffs then, increase $5 a day.
Yeah, I'm gonna be asking for a $5 increase in the daily wage for the bailiffs from the county portion.
The state paying more?
The state is paying more. We don't have the exact figure right now. It's somewhere between 92 and 97, I believe, a day. Right now.
It's
Our
85?
bailiffs are getting 85 with the $5 stipend in place. So even bringing them up $5 isn't gonna bring them up to what the state is making, but we do realize that the state also pays union dues for that wage, so it'll be within range.
So this isn't a reimbursement, this is actually county dollars
Yes, these will be
that's
done.
going into the bailiffs. Plus, they're gonna get something from the state.
Plus they get the $80 a day from the state, which you get reimbursed for.
Where'd the 92 come from? You said $92?
The state.
It's
is making-
85 now.
The state is making from 92 to 97, because I think they'll be getting a raise in January also. Right now, ours are only making 85.
Yep,
I'm asking for $5 to bring them up to 90,
90.
and so the county would be responsible for $10, basically.
Dom, I can't go, along, as long as per diem isn't per diem over there, I can't go along with it. If you're gonna pay them $85 a day, that's one thing. But if they're gonna work 2 extra hours and they're gonna get overtime on top of that or more pay, it isn't per diem. We pay them, I remember the discussion quite clearly. We pay them extra money over 8 hours or over 4 hours or something. That's not per diem.
No, the county was at, a few years ago, did agree
$10.
with the concept of, that our bailiffs county bailiff should be getting the same wage that the state bailiff, possibly in the same court.
No, I sat right here and voted that day. The way it was gonna happen was, as you recall, there was a bill before the legislature to raise their pay.
Yeah.
And we said, we'll give you $5 more until that bill is passed. That bill passed.
Yep.
Conley came in here with his paper reading, well, that isn't what the minutes say. The minutes say you'll continue to get that $5 plus the $5 from the state.
Yeah.
And that's not what anybody sitting here agreed to, period.
Okay.
I think that's true.
I know it's true.
It may be, but originally it was $10 that was given out.
Yep.
It got cut back to $5 to the existing $85.
Yes, it did.
And why that took place, I really don't know. I'd have to
Mm-hmm.
review it. But it was all because of what the state bailiffs were making in the AOC and what comparatively, we're basically doing the exact same job, if not more, without bailiffs.
And you're telling me I'm wrong about if they work over 8 hours or something?
They
like
work
that?
over 8 hours, the state owns that money. They will pay them. the
Okay, so it
extra
was
money.
right. They do get, it isn't per diem. It's additional money. It's just that the money comes from the state, which is us, and
Well, it's not
pays the
county.
extra money.
No, we're asking for the county to pay a portion of the per diem to keep them at least close to what the state is making. That's what I'm asking. And that's what is
You're asking
Was
for
this-
additional $5.
on the per diem side.
And the state's gonna kick in another 5?
No,
Where's the $10 come from? You
not
just
at this
mentioned.
point. Right now, you're currently paying 5. I'm asking to pay another 5.
Oh, for a total of 10.
Yes.
And the state is still gonna be higher at 92,
Yes.
and they're gonna be at 90. Okay.
If, I mean, the minimum is 92 what the state making. I believe they're making more, or will be in January. And if you didn't know, the bailiffs up in Conway are state at the county court.
Really?
Yes.
Yes, I did know that.
It's, you know,
This way it's done.
that's the way it's done at this point, yeah.
So the bailiffs in Conway get paid more
They do.
than the bailiffs here.
Yes.
But they both say the same thing, all rise.
And that's part of our point.
Okay, education and conferences.
I get to leave the same. I know there are a couple conferences that we will look into sending people, possibly myself, to at least one. I chose not to go to any this year. Obviously, election years, tough to get away.
Were they being held, Australia?
No, as you can see, I mean, we spent a little, at
Oh, somewhere. Huh. Somewhere it's
this
warm.
point, we spent more than half. But again, we held back on possible conferences that we could have gone to.
And who goes, Don?
It could be any one.
You and
Again,
Rich, or-
there's a number of the ones that we could attend administratively. We didn't choose to go to any of the county conferences. That may change next year. I think we should be involved
I think you should
in
too.
more of the county meetings and conferences.
And I think there's
I
gotta be
know.
programs for
Yeah.
sheriffs as
And I
well.
know as myself, as the sheriff at the sheriff's meeting, I am one of the two that we kind of nominated or volunteered to start to begin to go to the monthly meeting
Yeah.
for the county.
Good.
So, that's part of it. And then I know on the dispatch side, they'll be attending conferences too. That would include any type of education outside the state. And again, as we've discussed before, the more years you're in law enforcement, the less that new stuff is available at the academy, so.
You can go to the New Hampshire Association of Counties monthly meetings, but you can't vote. We have 5 people that are voters. 6, including me, as past president. Jason just got put on.
Yep.
Registry of
Lynette,
Deeds.
Howie,
Lynette,
Jason,
Howie.
3 of us. We're missing
And you.
one. Well, that would be the 3 of us.
No, I'm different.
The 7,
It's you, Jason, Howie, Lynette.
Asha.
No, Asher's not on there.
Why?
Because she wasn't put on. We only have 5. Registry of Deeds.
Well, I thought we
Registrar
had
of Deeds.
6.
No, it's 5. I'm the 6th one
Oh,
as
okay.
past president, okay?
Okay.
So, if you're gonna participate, we need to increase our voting capacity in each county. Each county has 5 members.
And I guess
But
that's something
I'm
that
glad
we
you're
take up
considering
right
that. Okay. No change in yours forestry?
We don't, we have not reached out to them yet. I don't anticipate it.
So it shows up as expense and we got it as an
In
income.
revenue too, yes.
All right, what's the increase in other fees and services?
Not showing any. See, that is what's budgeted this year, that last number column. I did not put in for any increase thus far. Right now, it's $4,500.
We only spent 2,800.
Especially, let me see. Because these are September numbers, those spent figures.
True. Okay, you need to check that one out to find out.
And again,
May
I
not be
believe that's the
posted.
legal line too.
Yeah.
It is for everywhere
So-
else.
Could be.
So- So negotiations, obviously, is gonna eat that up.
Yep.
Dominic, you gotta help me, excuse me, Dave.
Go ahead.
U.S. Forestry Service salaries,
It's a detail.
that's the detail. But yet, up here, what's the special details, Albany,
That
grant? What's
is-
the difference? One of them isn't the forestry and one is?
One is the town of Albany.
Town of Albany.
Oh, okay.
Votes and appropriates. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then we go to office supplies.
Way up on that, considering what you used.
Well, no, again, the 5,000 is what is currently budgeted. That line, some of that is being spent as we speak.
You know, that's
Right
a-
now,
that's
it's
a-
at 23, I
It's a
believe.
problem with our budget system. We don't have actual, well, we do have actual, but it's only through September. And we have no idea until after the first of the year as to what was actually spent. Best thing to do is change it to a fiscal year rather than a calendar year.
Yep, yep.
That would solve that problem.
I've tried twice.
That's a good one for Ed to change.
I just wrote it down.
I mean, right to the end of October, it's $2,600 is what is remaining. But again, that is gonna go down.
Okay. K-9 expense, we have to add another, dues, licenses, and subscriptions.
Yep, as you can see, that part of that is gonna be the IT line, apparently. Because a lot of the software that we're using is, I guess, considered for that IT purpose.
So you taking out 4,000, or you gonna leave
No, we're gonna
4,000 in?
leave 4,000 in, take out 13,500.
I want to make sure I understand. So you're figuring what you actually have either here, well, it wouldn't be in the dispatch because they have their own, but you're figuring $4,000 of that is your own.
Dues, licenses, and subscriptions.
Well, we're looking at, yeah, I thought you said you were looking at
Why,
IT, didn't you?
No, it's gonna be in the IT line.
but why
The new
was the
IT.
IT under due? Because of licenses?
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Should be
yearly
under-
fee
Yeah.
to basically keep the software renewed. So that's our records, our report program is the biggest chunk of that.
So you're going to move 13.5 and leave 4, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You sure of that now?
Yep.
Because you got IT at 27,000, that's coming out,
Oh, no, and those are, that IT at 27,000 is solely for
contract,
the contract. purpose.
okay. But then you've got, under computer expense,
That's a whole nother. that has
what's
nothing to
coming
do-
out of that?
We were told this morning the computer expense was licenses and by another department, right? Licenses and up-to-date software.
That's another department. I mean, I'm telling you what the line dues, license, subscriptions
Okay, all right,
is our software.
all right. We believe you, we'll take that 13.5. K-9 expense,
I'll round it off to 1,500,
So you're going to take away
Oh.
one dog bone.
$18, that's
Yeah.
a pretty good dog bone.
we may have to change that, right?
Union?
Union
Well-
contract.
No, I mean, that's gonna be based on, that'll fall back to wages.
Okay,
This has nothing to do with wages at the K-9.
all right.
This is solely for any
Deputy expenses.
medical.
What's that, buying hamburgers when you're transporting people?
It used to be so much, yes, but as you can see,
No, that was meals.
no, it used to be that line, but we cut that out. That line has gone down. It is for the rare occasion or the meal during training, not during transports any further in the state. If it's outside the state, then yes, it is a meal for that, if there's a transport.
So that includes outside expenses for your deputy? If
Yes,
they have to go and get somebody out of state, the expenses comes out of that?
and we're only talking to like Maine, Massachusetts.
New England?
Right. right.
Tom, when I get on your case about this, it wasn't to stop these guys from getting a meal. It was, as you know, certain individuals stopping within 20 minutes of home and charging a $26 meal instead of driving home. And that was the intent. I mean, if these guys are out on the road, they deserve to have a meal. I don't care whether they're
No,
in Maine or don't stop in Alton if you live in Wolfboro and buy supper. But if you're in East Overshoe, I mean, you deserve a meal.
No, they've stayed within the fix, and I've had no problem with it since, so. But some of that is for meals, some of that is for if they need a roll of tape to post something, and they jump in the hardware store and grab it, that's referred to as a deputy expense.
What happens when they go to fetch some guy and she's ordered it over here and you have to go with them to pick them up? Does that get charged to you or does that get charged to her? Or do you split it?
New England wide, most of it should get charged to the county attorney. But again, those just over the border types of things, we've been taking that cost, because we realize that her budget also is not big enough to accommodate every outside
Right.
transport.
Okay, investigative supplies, that's up kinda, isn't it?
Looks like you can put some steroids into this one.
No,
You only spent
no.
78.
No, if we had the new costs, that would be up. So, no, we're just looking to hold the 2,500. So, some of that money has been spent. Again, it's, like you say, difficult to go by what you're looking at this document between this September 30th and what's been spent to this point is not there.
When you talk about investigative supplies, what kinds of things you're talking
It
about?
could be, as far as cameras, cameras that we use on surveilling,
Accidents and,
surveillance equipment, trail camera type of things,
okay.
accident investigations. So again, I don't see those numbers, there's nothing, I don't see those numbers going up at all.
Okay, computer expense, that's gonna come
No, wait a
out.
minute, you skipped over uniform
All
expense.
right, uniform, 12,000.
12,000, and last year you spent 6, and the 6 the year before that, and so far to date, you've only spent 3.
Yeah, again, those numbers are not correct.
Which ones?
The 28, as far as what's been spent since.
Well, my goodness, Tom, if
You're not
you only
gonna- no,
spent
we're not gonna
5,
spend-
and the 6
well-
the year before.
But again, that is contract item too, so.
That dry cleaning too?
Yep.
Okay, now computer expense, David.
From what I'm told from the IT committee, that's gonna be removed
Yep.
and put into the IT budget.
Yep,
Yep.
Basically, that's routine maintenance, minor equipment update,
mhm.
like if a computer needs a hard drive or something like that, is what
You
that's
need
been
to,
used for.
you need to check on it. What I see doing is, in the IT budget, there'll be a section in there on sheriff's department. And it'd be computers and maintenance and whatever you got here.
Yeah, and the lieutenant's been keeping me up to
Okay.
date on that stuff.
Just make sure that that happens. How do you advertise for positions?
There is no money for it, and we were told last that HR would be doing it all.
Okay? You got your personnel records and so forth in HR? Yeah, but you're
They
going
have-
to. We'll give you time to do that. You can keep your own records if you want to, but we need to have records in the HR. And I'll send you a letter with a copy to the chairman of the delegation. It needs to be done. You and the county attorney. Okay. Telephone?
Amortized out, that's about right.
Yeah.
I think that line is gonna run over. I'm not sure how much because of the contract that you guys got into with, what was it,
Spyglass.
Spyglass.
Why is it gonna run over?
It should be
Because you
less.
took, no,
Supposed to go down.
because
Yeah.
you took out, I want to say at the top of my head, around $1,500 out of my budget for that contract to be paid off, which I had not budgeted for that
Okay.
in that year, so.
Is that right?
Must be, I mean, Cassie was the one that paid the bill,
Yeah.
but I didn't know where it was coming from.
Okay.
I mean,
Radio.
next year may offset that, but again,
Okay.
that's gonna, I believe, it's not gonna be by much, but it is gonna redline, I think.
Radio communication expenses?
Again, at this point, I'm gonna put in for what we had budgeted last year.
Yeah.
There will be money, I know it's not showing anything. Money is coming out of that.
In 13, you only spent $341. But 12, you spent 6,000. 11, you spent 4,600. 2010, you only spent $334.
10, 11, and 12 were not mine.
Vehicle lease purchase.
Gonna be asking for 3 new vehicles. I probably could use 4, but we're gonna try and shuffle the cruisers around to hang on to one of the old Crown Vics that comparatively has considerable mileage that you would maybe get rid of that year, but and this is to offset maybe the rotation, because if we don't hold back one now, we'll be asking for 4 and maybe only 2 next year, so I'm gonna try and do 3.
So you get 3 and 3. Okay.
And basically that's a guesstimate on 3 cruises, what that annual payment will be. I was over this year by about $150 between my guess and what the actual finance ended up being. So I'm gonna say 77,000. So for 3 new cruises, basically the lease payment will go up $1,000. And as we spoke about last budget, the commission may want to think about if they want to finance these differently between the delegation or not. If you do the annual payment for 4 years, you are paying a interest fee of $3,000 to $5,000. So
You want to pay it off.
that's
I don't think we can do it this year.
and
Or
again,
next year.
I know we've tried it before to suggest capital funding, and that certainly should be one of the things
Yeah.
is cruises. A lot of counties do that.
Makes sense, I mean, try to get them to do it around here.
Okay, moving on. Your vehicle expense?
I'm gonna leave it what it was last year.
Yeah.
Hoping gas stays down a couple months anyways. And with the newer vehicles, there should be less maintenance, but we're gonna be tight.
Should be
on-
less,
We're
yeah.
gonna be tight on this year's budget, whether we go just over or not, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
But again, you do have to remember that that includes the fuel expense. And we are getting revenue back from those details for
Fuel.
vehicle use.
Vehicle use.
There is $5 a
Where do you get your,
hour
where do you get
that's
your
coming
fuel?
back to the county for that.
Where do you get your fuel?
We use the state pumps unless someone is out and about and there's not a state pumper and they're in another state, then we have urban gas cards.
So we're getting $5 back an hour for that vehicle.
on the detail.
on detail. How much fuel does it burn an hour? Well, if we're paying, Dominic, if we're paying $3 a gallon for gas, and it burns 2 gallons of gas an hour sitting there while the air conditioning's
Yeah,
on
I
and the
don't
blue lights are
think
going around, and the motor's running, we're losing money. Should be getting $10 or more. Somebody ought to have a cost handle on what we're doing. It's been
Well,
a
we
bugaboo
do. I mean,
of mine for
again-
20 years.
We're in comparison to all the other towns that are doing it. We pick up only $5 on the cruiser, I guess, but we're picking up $15 from, $15 on the individual,
How much are we getting for a detail? 55?
$60.
Huh?
With a cruiser, $60.
60. We're paying the individual with benefits, what, $30, $40 an
Without
hour?
the cruiser, we're getting $55.
55.
Yeah.
Well, we're talking with the cruiser because
The
the cruiser's
individual-
costing us money.
The individual gets $40 for working the detail. So you're getting $15 to $20 for every hour they're working. And from working with Kathy and seeing the numbers computed as far as what goes out in retirement and all that, the county is making money.
What was
We
supposed to
can
happen,
revisit that.
what was supposed to happen, and maybe it is if it got down to $40 an hour is what we were paying the individual. Out of that, $40, some portion of that, we were paying their retirement, et cetera. We changed it so that I was under the impression that we were he was getting paid a lower rate because we were not gonna pay his retirement for him while he's out making extra money.
They're getting $40 an hour minus their payroll deductions, just as a normal hour's work.
But we're still turning around and paying that 9% for his retirement or whatever it is if he's working here, and that's not right.
That's,
Should we?
that's not for us to decide. I mean, that's.
Yes, it is. We should stop him.
That's currently in court as far as the retirement system.
But that's not the issue, Dominic. We can get that money and take out all what his share, but we're still paying 9.5% or our half of the share, the county is, while he's doing special duty drawing money. I can't go out and stand by a car all day long and hold a stop sign. I mean, why should the taxpayer be footing the bill for him to make money so he can make more money when he retires? It isn't
Yeah,
right.
And it, actually, I will have to look back at it, but we do believe that details are not included in the retirement system.
Maybe something changed. I think you're right. I think in that last bill that
That's not an issue at all.
the details were not going to be counted towards his
Whether or not it's all.
but we still have to pay that half of his retirement. I mean, you go out on the retirement detail because you're not being paid in your
No.
being paid. It's not going to your retirement.
If it's
They're
not,
not paying their half of the retirement out of that.
if it's not going to the retirement system, then no one is paying any portion of that.
Okay,
to the
that's what I
retirement
want to know.
system. Yeah.
Maybe that's what happened. I knew something changed so that we weren't paying
Yeah.
for them to fatten up
If,
their
if
retirement.
it is included in the retirement system, I can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. That falls on the delegation and the police union.
What I thought was happening, we're
I
paying
know
them.
part of that is all in court. Some of it's being pushed back and forth, so,
Why do we have special details?
because the contract is requested, basically. There is no law that says
They
they
can't
have
get
to
a-
have a police officer.
They can't get a local police department to do it?
Yes, I mean, towns that don't have police departments, obviously, it's us or the state police.
Not that many now.
And the ones that we are doing, those towns can't fill the number of details they have, so they look for help outside. And it's not just us that are filling Conway, it's other towns that are helping them out too, so.
I know you noticed you had a special detail on reconstruction of the road right there in Conway Village.
A lot of the summer and continuing now with the pipeline in North Conway, in
Yeah.
Conway,
Okay,
and Walmart.
where are we? Photocopy expense?
Radio communication, we haven't got that far. Advertising, telephone, radio communication expense. 341, you mentioned that
We did that.
already. Vehicle lease expenses, photocopier.
We got down to vehicle expenses. Photocopy expense.
You know, David, we gotta do something about putting all these copiers together and getting
Yep, I
a
know.
contract.
Again, I'm not sure if that was going into IT, I kinda heard rumor that, okay, it's not.
Not yet.
You were right,
That
they
was being
began
considered.
talking about including telephones and copiers,
Yeah.
and
I think that
we
would just
said,
be
no, we
too much.
wanted it straight computers.
Okay.
Or computer-related information.
Darkroom expense, nothing, huh? We don't have a darkroom
No,
anymore,
we took that out.
okay? Expeditions,
Excuse me, we have to keep, in my recollection is, we have to keep them on, these line items in here for something like 2 years.
yeah, it is a requirement.
Has it been gone 2 years?
Looks as though it has.
So
12 and
We can
13.
take it out? If it's been 2
Mhm.
years, it seems to me that's what I recall.
Okay. Extraditions,
Again, that's part of, any extraditions we do. That's where,
I'm sorry, Tom, I
We
can't
can
read what
choose
you've
out.
written on the line. Does that say ones?
looks like over.
Over.
oh, that line is currently over in my spreadsheet, because I do have to check with the business office. There was an extradition to Florida this year, that was the initial one where it happened during snowstorms and cancellations and all that. I'm not sure if that's still on my budget. According to this, it's not, so if there's only $88 spent,
That happened before, that happened back in January, February?
February, I think, yeah.
Should have been on here, but, okay.
Well, again, I think it was shifted over to the county attorney's budget, whereas what it should have been,
Mm-hmm,
because it included the plane flights and all that.
okay.
And that was why we put money in that budget.
Insurance.
Insurance, that's done downstairs.
Yeah.
Firearm training and equipment, 12,000. It came up this morning with the jail. Is there any way that we can combine firearms and training with the jail?
Or at least purchase the ammo
Purchasing.
together, or try to
I mean,
get a better deal. I
know.
think the last one I signed for you was $6,000 or $7,000.
Well,
Which needs to go out for bid.
I'm not sure it was quite that amount, all at once. I think it was 2,000.
Yeah, it doesn't matter though, if it's,
If it comes over
Because-
5,000 for the
For the
year,
whole
it
year.
has to go out for bid.
yeah.
Maybe it was a little less, but between the jail and you people, we buy quite a bit of ammo.
Yeah, no, and I can certainly put our deputy with Jason or whoever's doing it at the jail, and
Baker,
they can look it over and see what's up.
Baker, yeah,
Um,
Sergeant Baker.
Mr. Baker is doing it.
But anyway, see what you can do there. Is there any maintenance to the
Range.
range?
I believe there is $500 in this line that we basically keep out for that,
And where is that?
in that line.
Oh, in that line?
The problem with that, I guess in the past, has been that if we need something done, it's kind of been
do it
maybe,
yourself.
maybe a hassle to try and get someone over there to cut the field out there so we can do long rifle up on top. So, we
It's been a
are,
hassle? I mean, the farm didn't mow it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah.
And so we're gonna have somebody come in to mow it?
No, we haven't. I mean, it's just been, you had to stay on top of them, and it's been a kind of a dogfight, is what I've been told.
Does that 500 go to the farm?
Yes, it does shuffle through the paperwork to, when they do
Okay.
do it. Which, I think it would be simpler if just, once or twice a year, if the farm just goes over there and does it, and puts that
Just
money
push
in
it,
their
yeah.
line.
And also the
I don't know
time.
why it has to do a paper
Okay.
transfer.
Probably has something to do with that the grass grows over there at the same time the hayfield grows out here.
Yeah.
And we're getting $5 a bale for putting up hay, and we're getting nothing for picking up lead shot.
We get 500.
Oh, that's right. But there must be times, it's just a brush hog job, right?
I think so.
And we ought to be able to get that cut.
Yeah. Okay, grants, you got $1.
That
No
was on the
equipment.
recommendation by the delegation.
No equipment.
Um,
That's going out? Is that all?
No, that's unknown, because again, that's, the grants that we have currently in.
Yeah.
So if,
Matching?
no, the federal one is a non-matching, and that is anywhere from, we're thinking 400,000 to 1.3 is the final
Yeah.
bill on that,
Yeah.
so.
So why do you have 18 and 3/4?
Well, no, that was last year's again. So
That's
again,
right. This seed's
got a
different
question
than
mark
the
there.
others, yeah. Okay.
that can be $1, or it could be
It's $1.
whatever
If
we
you
might
say
get.
$1.
No, we'll make it $1 and then we can have
But again,
someplace
I
to
mean-
put it.
That's gonna be a different number the next time you see it, so.
Okay. And the 27,000 is going over to IT.
The only new equipment, I do want to, I guess, propose that, we have the technology now to do laptops in the cruises. Some of that new software that was installed under that last grant enables that, to run spots inside the cruisers, be able to do their own record checks, be able to do the reports in the cruiser, and wireless put them into the system here. So the laptops that were bought 10 years ago with the Car 54 are obsolete. We had IT check into them, see if the hard drives could be pulled and install new ones
Mhm.
to modernize them, and they can't. So those are basically boat anchors at this point.
How many are there?
So we would look at, if we were doing all the patrol units or the
11?
deputies that are out there, it would probably be 8 in the end.
What happens to the old ones?
But
They get
we will
recycled?
be, I'm gonna try and purchase a couple this year, if I can find them. The old ones, are basically like the old computers, I mean, they don't have the new Windows on them.
Inmates can use them?
Maybe. And we can wipe them all hot, clean.
Didn't John tell us one day that it cost $100 a unit to wipe clean?
I don't know.
It was some big number, I
Was it?
remember. But you saw what he did with our computer in our office that was so slow. For $90, it's the fastest thing around.
And we've
Yeah.
done that to a couple of ours.
So what do you want to put in that new equipment? 6,000?
I would say 8, depending on, again, what I find I'm able to get if we had to do all 8. Because I have priced out what we would be looking at, and they're anywhere from 1,500 to 1,100 so far, so that's just looking online.
Okay.
Hopefully we could do better if we were buying a handful.
Do you work with John?
Yep.
On getting them?
Yep.
So on the new equipment, we're gonna go from $1 to 8 units?
8,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't believe there are any grants for that because it is considered mobile. And for what we've seen so far, it's not an item that the state will help.
Okay, dispatch. Explain the overtime.
Well, actually, the personal days is the 8,000, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
This year should give us a good figure if that worked, because as you remember, that's substantially lower than what the contract would call for if no one used their personal days. So I'm not sure where I can have an answer for you next week, what that might look like.
Okay.
Overtime is obviously filling shifts.
Pulling shifts when they're on vacation.
Vacations, there are regularly scheduled part-timers.
Why would they
We
be overtime?
could use, oh, no. Actually, no, they would not be in that, they're in the part-time.
Well, you
But overtime is covering, because again, part-timers aren't gonna cover everything, especially if someone calls in sick. Most of that is filled with 4 hours overtime on each end of the shift.
you got roughly,
And we've used, it's right on schedule.
Hmm?
Go ahead. It's right on schedule as far as what we asked for.
you asked for 15, and if you amortize it here, it's gonna come out closer to, well, another $1,000, 3,014.
It's 11, 12.
Yeah, it's gonna be right around there. It's gonna be right around there.
Especially with the holidays.
Special dispatches.
That's part-timers. And that is
Why don't
regular.
we just call them salary part-time instead of special deputies? They don't have any extra longer years or anything else.
Special
Why don't we just call 'em-
dispatches.
What they are, part-time, so that the delegation, when they look at it, know what it is. Because the first question's gonna be, what's a special dispatcher? Guaranteed.
We'll tell them part-time.
Part-time dispatcher, is what it should be.
And again, a lot of that is regular scheduled part-time filling.
Okay, education and conferences.
There wasn't much out there for dispatches this year. We have already looked and are booking for a training that's going to be at Conway PD, provided from an outside source. 2 of the dispatchers will be going to that.
Make sure that any training gets put in their personal
Yep.
file.
It is.
That's in the HR office.
Dominic, you can't, there's no dispatch programs in that new system we bought for the jail. One of the selling points was there was 1 million different training programs for law enforcement that
In the
were
RILAS?
Yeah. Have you talked with Jason to see if there's anything in there that you might be able to use?
Not as far as dispatch goes, no.
Have you talked to him about sheriff? He's a real politician. He's trying to figure out how to answer this question.
The
No,
answer is yes.
when he was first looking into it, he did discuss it with me that there are possibly some classes or courses that we may want to consider, or he has made it open, that he's open to us going in there and using it, if that's the case.
But there's no dispatch.
I did not ask that, we didn't. We'll inquire.
Other fees and services? It's always been 200?
Is that partly legal fees for split up for a union contract?
I mean, it's potential, it's basically a miscellaneous.
Okay. I don't think it's gonna sink us.
No. Office supplies is up considerably.
And we spent hardly anything.
No, that's not up to date.
I guess I don't understand.
Shares.
From the first of the year, all the way through until the 30th of September, you only spent $431
Yeah.
in supplies.
Yeah.
But yet, from the 30th of September to the first of the year, you're gonna spend the difference,
Possibly.
$2,500.
Possibly.
How?
$2,500.
Why have you spent so little for 9
Because-
months?
I mean, you budget for what you have, what you think you might need. And then you hope that nothing happens in between. So the way the commissioners and delegation have, I won't say it's a scare tactic, but again, and it's come out at delegation meetings, that if you do this, you're forcing the hands on how it's spent. Because if you
Well,
don't
wait-
spend
wait a
it,
Wait a minute.
Wait a minute, I don't agree with that, but
well,
I think if you wait till the end of the year and you spend it just to
Yeah, well,
use it
no.
up, that's a problem.
no. And again, the chairs that are in there are a number of years old. Those are 24/7 chairs, that those are getting used. We've, over the years, have changed out armrests, wheels.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure, I know we've already bought one chair, they're trying a cheaper chair, basically. Because the ones they're in right now, I think, are close to $1,500. The chair that we just purchased, I believe, is around $600 or $800. To try and see if that will be a sufficient chair for a couple years' use.
Okay.
Well, if you bought the chair
This
with it,
type of thing.
which is $600 or $700, it doesn't show up here.
Right, and that's what I'm
So
saying. that
you
some of that is
spent
not-
$431 on paper and pens and pencils, and that's all for 9 months?
No, there's been some brackets, if you haven't been in there recently. There's been new monitors put up, as far as the monitors themselves are computer expense or new equipment. But there's brackets and everything else, some wires have been put in. There's been a lot of work in dispatch as far as
Okay.
little changes like that,
Okay,
because we just did sink that grant into dispatch.
they don't have any uniform expenses.
We'll have to go-
Electric expense,
That comes up from Kathy.
computer expense is coming out.
And we'll go to IT.
Well, the IT budget's gonna be
It'll be fat.
fat, yeah. Terminal expense,
That's a state fee for Spot's computer.
It's what, Tom?
A state fee gets paid quarterly, and
Oh,
that's
okay.
to run the
A license
motor
to
vehicle
run it.
checks, yeah.
Okay.
telephone is probably pretty close.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah, and if you
9
look
into
at,
9 is $1,000 a month. We got 3 left to go. That would make it,
if you look at
that would
what
make
we-
it 11, and you've asked for almost 19.
if you look at what we spent on 2012, 2013,
Yeah, but we're 9 months through the year, Dom.
I'll have to look at the breakdown as far as
Maybe that's where.
what's coming up.
Spyglass, we reduced the budget.
Oh, absolutely. I don't have to call him up, of course, that's what. Would you check that one, Dom, because that one is really out of whack.
Radio and communication expenses. $31,013.
You're gonna come close to going over on that one,
Mhm.
if you haven't already.
Travel expense. Where do they travel?
Again, possibly any training that they might have. Anywhere around the state. If the, I know,
A lot of our budgets are based on there may be something available. Why can't we plan and be proactive and say, this is available, we're gonna send them to this is the amount of money we want?
well, you don't get that information in time. You don't see the training until 2 months before. So we're not gonna see next year's training.
Nobody's gonna send a
Especially-
schedule out for October of
Right,
next year.
Especially for dispatch. And that's a whole upcoming thing around the state, is dispatch, to try and get a state-type certification type of thing. So that's a building program.
So once they get a certification program, that's gonna be an expense every year.
That's, that hasn't been talked about at the county meetings? It would kind of surprise me.
Not that I'm aware of, no. But it probably will be once you get there, right?
Mhm.
Now we have photocopy expense there too?
Yes, because there's 2 copiers in dispatch that is basically on their line.
Why in the world do they need 2 copies?
They'd have to run up and down the stairs.
Come on.
Well, what are you talking about,
No,
Sort?
they're right
Put
in
one
this-
downstairs and one upstairs?
There's
and run
one
up and down?
downstairs and there's one upstairs. If you eliminate the one upstairs, they'd have to run downstairs to use the photocopier.
It'd be healthier, reduce the health insurance. Seriously, what do you need 2 copiers for?
One is for daily use as far as printing off spots, which is the record checks and all that, which gets considerably used. We are reducing a lot of that to fax type email to the stations. Before we used to print it all and then fax it, but now with modern technology you can email it or fax it electronically.
You mean the cruiser with the
No,
computer in the
PDs.
cruiser? He
Yeah.
can, they
Well,
can't, they can't
again-
get that information?
again, we
They
don't
have
have
to go
that.
through dispatch?
Don't
We don't have that
yet.
yet.
Oh, okay.
Seems like you could reduce that by $500.
Well, part of it is they pay a portion of the yearly contract for the photocopy too, between the sheriff's budget and dispatch budgets.
Do you share, does the sheriff's department, your department share with these two copiers, or do you have two more of your own?
We also have two. There's one in the civil office, which is used to print off all the civil returns that the deputies have to sign off on and return to the court that they serve the paper. And then
And
there's,
these copiers are so smart, they can figure that one goes to that machine and everything else goes to the other one? Why can't you use the same copy machine for both of them?
Because they'd have to go up and
oh,
down the
wow,
stairs.
yeah,
No, they got their two upstairs. These are two downstairs.
yeah. The civil office is, they don't need
Down the
the
hall.
deputies' reports coming through their copy machine, and it's just a tabletop copy machine. There is a large copy machine that does all the reports for the deputies, and is the one that we have set up to scan all the documents into document files,
You know what you ought to
as we've
do?
been doing for years.
We got a copier in our office too.
Not in our office.
Not
in
ours, in the outer office.
Yep.
It's too bad we didn't have a room where everybody went there to make their photocopies. And eliminate a couple machines.
You know, the jail has 5 or 4. The nursing home, God knows how many they got. These people got 4. We've got 2.
Two?
Yeah. Cheryl has
It's
one.
an IT thing in dispatch. John's gone to
Or am I confusing?
I think it
I'm
just,
confusing copiers and photocopying. I mean, printers and photocopiers.
Yeah.
Your photocopier is a photocopier. It isn't a
A printer?
printer.
it's a printer, it's
It
a
is.
photocopier, it's a scan.
Does everything.
Yep.
Well, then I am talking about the same thing.
Yep.
That's what she's got.
Yeah, and I think each office needs their own, because you can't,
We're not questioning that,
Yeah.
Tom. We're questioning why the jail needs 4 or 5, why you need 4, why we need 2. God knows how many the nursing home has.
because I think if you put all of it through one, you're gonna be replacing that over and over. Let's face it, I mean, the more these get used, the more repairs you're gonna have. Which
I don't
we've
know what
seen
they do
with
in
our
the
own.
nursing home, but I think the last bill I saw for Porter, one of the machines put out 14,000 copies.
Newsletter probably?
That's 2,000 copies a day.
All right. Well,
We didn't manage to get rid of that copy.
no, but we could reduce it by $500.
Well, I think that, again, that's part of the contract, so I can revisit that, but if I remember right, it was reduced from $500 last year at the last minute.
Yep,
At
we
the
did.
delegation meeting.
All right, insurance, grants, $1. New equipment. New consoles? Didn't we just buy new
Again.
consoles?
No. Again, that is all dependent upon the grants unless the county wants to raise $200,000 to buy 4 consoles. So that is included in that new grant that we just,
So there's a stipulation that we have to pick up something.
no.
No?
Eventually,
You
there's gonna
just
come a
said 4,
day.
you just said 4 units at $200,000, that's 50,000
Yes, it
apiece.
is.
You have in here 25.
No, that's last year's figure again, so you
Oh,
can
okay.
scratch that out.
Forgetting that.
Um,
The other ones.
Potentially, those could die tomorrow, is what we've talked about. We've been replacing them all around the state.
Mhm.
They don't make parts for them anymore. So, at some day, those are not gonna work if we don't look to replace them soon. I'm trying to do that through that grant that we just applied for.
Mhm.
So if we get the grant and it's accepted, then they'll be replaced. hopefully we'll have a very good idea or premonition come January if we're leaning
Mhm.
towards that grant.
So the budget can get adjusted after that.
There will be time for that.
If we don't get the grant, we don't need the 25,000?
No, because that 25,000 was for equipment that we did this year. I don't currently have a new equipment proposal
Oh, okay.
list,
Okay, I got you. Yep.
so, you know,
All right.
again, dispatch has had a lot of updates this year. The next update that we're looking to do is through that grant process, which is gonna take care of a lot of things, so.
So our sheriff's department and dispatch is gonna cost us approximately $2.7 million.
What?
No.
What did you get at?
Well, we got 850,000 and we got
Where's the,
1 million,
Yeah, it's budget.
I'm just using last year's figures, and 1,000,008, that comes out to about 1 million, 2,000,006 or 7,
Between the
That's-
sheriff and
that's
the
the sheriff's.
dispatch?
between the sheriff's and the dispatch.
that's two departments, right?
That's what I said. Between the two departments, dispatch and sheriff is gonna cost us 2.7, rough 2.6, 2.7 million.
What you did this year.
Huh?
What you did this year. That's this year's budget.
Dom, could we ask you the next time you do this, that
Yeah, yeah.
you
No,
use this
that's-
form over here, because we're constantly looking back thinking this is,
Yeah, that's my bad, but the 2.6 you're talking about is what was budgeted for the
Last
end-
year.
yeah.
yes,
So
figuring you haven't changed yours that much.
it's, and you're right, and that is without any wages or anything touched.
10,300.
So we're looking closer at 3 million,
I didn't say that.
10,000,
somewhere around
I
there.
didn't say that.
That's a lot of money.
I didn't say that,
15,003.
because I don't think I'm asking for $400,000 in raises.
Well, you're gonna have wages,
That's,
you're gonna have probably a 10% increase in the medical insurance.
no, because ours is capped.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The sheriff and the dispatch, when you take out the IT and you take out any reductions that he's put in, he's gonna be down about 40,000.
From last year's budgeted figure.
Right.
Well, it's gonna be down more than that, because just the
Then you
IT
gotta add-
alone is 27,000 on each side of it, so that's $54,000 right there.
Okay.
Yep, you're right. I didn't take that other 27, so it's 60,000.
But the fallacy in that
Almost
thinking,
$70,000.
fallacy in that thinking is, it isn't going away.
No, no,
It's still
it's
gonna
not.
be paid.
No, and it's not, but I think that's the right way to do it.
Hmm?
I think that's the right way to do it.
Oh, I
is-
do too. You mean,
Okay.
you group the IT together, take it out.
And then next year we'll do the photocopies?
Yeah, as long as, I mean, as long as each department still has say on, you know, what they actually need, and
Mhm.
if another department gets short, that they don't steal from Peter to pay Paul.
To me, it would be a little better control if it's all in one.
You mean the IT?
Yep.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Sheriff.
you.
Apparently Richard doesn't get paid to talk.
I'm here just in case you guys jump on. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Aye.
Who's next?
Lynette would like to come in early because she's got to go somewhere.
Well, she can come right now.
I can do about another half hour, then I'm going to school.
Okay. Should I go get Lynette, or you gonna go
I'll
get
get
Lynette?
it.
still.
I would have planned differently, but the
Yes, there is.
agenda said 12:30, so
I'll do my best, but the questions you have.
Well, Cheryl
it's
hasn't
too much
done,
for one day.
Cheryl hasn't done
We
a,
are
hasn't done
to
a
our IMAX
budget,
insurance
so
company.
Yeah.
she doesn't know. We gotta get it done.
We could have,
It's gotta be into the state by December 1st, and we haven't had a chance to sit, we haven't talked to everybody yet. We gotta,
wish there was another way to do stuff ahead of time.
I think Susie,
You could do those in an hour.
Susie representative had the best idea at all. The delegation, when so what's going on about it? The people come in from the outside and they do it just once.
What you're
Yeah.
actually.
And we go home and we work on our budget, they go home and work on their budget, and then when we're done,
Yes.
we come together. It makes sense. But nothing around here gets done if it makes sense.
The technical study that we've done to justify what equipment you're
We're
getting.
gonna do this, what, 3 or 4 times?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna go from this to you guys talking about it more, to the subcommittees, to the delegation, to the delegation, to the delegation, to the delegation. And then we're gonna
back.
have a budget.
I'm telling you,
right?
Sorensen, you didn't agree with it, but Susie had the best idea of all. The delegation and the commissioners listen to these people all at once. And then go home and make their own budget. And then work it out between the two. You disagreed with that.
But what we do have.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Sure you have copies for us.
Also for later, I know that one of the things that you asked me to get some job descriptions for Director of Administrative Services, CFO, Finance Director.
Yep.
So I have several of those with ranges of salaries on those too.
Okay.
And maybe we can talk about it. And I guess Kathy was having some problems with printing out.
Well, we only got 5 other printers here in the building.
No, it was
We forgot
more-
about hers.
It was more
We
the.
forgot about hers.
It was
And we forgot
more-
about the attorney, county attorney, how many they got?
It was more the, there's the description with the software from ACS. So I just have to go.
What is this? This is where
That's
she's
just
gonna
the
make additions.
explanation. Those are just the explanations of the lines. Don't you like to get those?
Yes, that's good. Do you have the budget?
And that's it right there. I just gave it to you.
So I can pause
Keep it
before I
from-
get down, you can get to me.
I don't want you to jump ahead of me.
Do you have a spare for?
I have one.
You got one?
Okay, thanks.
You're mine?
I got it downstairs, yeah.
Okay, what?
This is a cleaner copy.
Yes, here we go.
It has the note thing on the back.
Okay. Can you pass that to, thank you.
Thank you.
I think a more legible
I thought
copy.
you said you just had one.
I do, but she said this one's better, so I'll take her word for it.
A cleaner copy.
Oh, okay.
There goes another computer. Hamburger. Hamburger's going nuts.
with all of this.
Why?
Well, she's wanted a level funded budget with the problems we got.
Well, yeah, but they spent $27,000 on a performance audit,
They commissioned this, I can't see them turning it down.
so, not saying they have to do everything all at once, but
Correct.
it's a waste of money if we don't do part of it at least. Do you total that up?
I did. But since we don't have the workers' comp figures, I didn't put an actual total.
Oh, yeah.
But that comes to 182,732.
Wait a minute, Lynette, thank you.
Well,
182?
195,870 if you're including column B,
Column B.
which is with the additional
Halftime?
part-time.
Oh, that B, okay.
Yeah.
That includes B.
Yep, 195,870 includes B.
And without B, it's gonna be 183.
183. And that does not include any of the IT budget, which is separate.
It didn't specify in the performance audit for additional people in your office, did it?
No, it did not. But if you read the audit, and it specifically says, human resources, typically you have a one full-time HR for 90 to 100 people.
Yeah,
and
we
have
got
350, and they're
yeah.
saying 2 is sufficient, which
I got you.
sure, it's sufficient if one person works.
You dropped advertising, but you're responsible for all the advertising for new job, for any
I was
jobs.
waiting to get to the, I had the same question,
Yep.
Dave.
Yep.
Why aren't
Because-
you increasing that?
No, because with hopes that we will stabilize, and we've been using a lot more online abilities for advertising, and I don't think, looking at the cost this year, current costs, and by the end of the year, I absolutely believe that that drop in $500 is very, very doable.
And we just had this problem with Dominic. The budget adopted is this year's budget, is that correct?
Budget
Okay.
adopted this year.
His was last year's.
Yes. Actual, for the year before was before that.
Well, we can pretty much go down to education and conferences, can't we, Dave?
Mhm. Are you gonna spend 2,500?
Yes. And we're very close to it. I already have in the most updated. And that's with employment law updates, the Congress conference, and a few other ones.
Mhm.
And it's very minimal.
You're increasing dues, licenses, and subscriptions
Yes,
because,
by $500,
yeah,
because I truly believe that NHMA will be very, very beneficial if
oh, I see.
not anything, because of the legislative updates and the information and the classes and the training that we're able to utilize. and they resource that is.
I'm sorry, David, where do you see an increase of $500?
Actually, it's $600.
Education and not education and conference?
Dues, licenses, and subscriptions.
Oh my goodness, you've dropped way down here, okay. Well. Yeah, an increase of $600, not $500, yeah.
And I can,
So we would get a benefit out of belonging to them, but no legal help.
no legal. But in the articles that they have, in the information that they provide, we would be able to research and get resources for legal documentation. You can't pick up the phone like the towns and the schools that are part of NHMA, not the schools, they go to the school board. So when the towns pick up the phone and call NHMA, they get legal assist guidance, and we would not be able to do that. However, with the resources that are available through NHMA, we are able to obtain information that we would need.
And the dues of 500?
500, yes. Just the legislative updated bulletins and the town and city magazine that they send out has case law and it has updates and things. It's very, very resourceful.
What do you get in for new equipment?
And that was pretty minimal as far as the 500. We need a keyboard. I actually need a new keyboard holder because it's not holding very well. And we need some more locks for some of the cabinets. It's pretty minimal at $500. I got a new, oh, that terrible word, I got a new printer, not a copier, a printer, in my office because mine died during the year, which was $529, so I was a little bit overspent. $549, I was a little overspent this year. But I don't think that $500 is unreasonable as to what comes up during the course of the year.
Any questions?
No. I like the way you've done your explanation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Frankly, I think what'll happen, as far as I'm concerned, we'll put in most of these requests because they're the result of the performance audit that the delegation wanted us to have and paid for, and we'll put them in and we'll see whether they want to fund what they wanted us to do.
Well, you know, the thing that the delegation doesn't know is that she's here till 7 or 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
Every night.
Most nights, and she's on salary, but there's a limit to how much time you put in on salary.
Right.
I don't know what you're giving to your generalist that can reduce your time. There's nothing you can?
She works many hours over also, and
And
fortunately,
she's salaried.
she's salaried. Fortunately, she's salaried also, but she puts in many hours. And we just fall behind and more behind and more behind. And I know when I first got here, I was so gung-ho and, being able to, take care of a lot of stuff that needs to be taken care of, even just in the vault, as well as, like the safety committee, rewriting the safety manual and things like that. There's just absolutely, without adding more and more and more hours, and I can't do 80 hours per week.
Do you think you'll ever catch up?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
You do.
If I have a person that helps with that. But in the other part that's a little, causes some anxiety, and I would imagine it should for the business office also, and you are at the presentations, seeing some of the reporting that has to be done that goes along with the Affordable Care Act with the new forms and the tracking and everything, it's pretty scary. I know that Wendy in Cheshire County is putting another person on, and some of the other counties are looking to put another person on, just to take care of that aspect of all this tracking, recording, with the government for all of this Affordable Care Act. And it's pretty scary. So I say, yes, we'll catch up, maybe, depending upon the impact that all ends up having.
But with the change in the Senate, and more members, Republicans in the House, maybe there'll be some changes to the Obamacare.
Some changes, yes, but you know it's not gonna go away, and there will still be some pieces of it. Hopefully some of the pieces, like the Cadillac tax, will be not such a challenge for public and private sector to handle, but on some other pieces, it will be there because it will have to pay for what's already in place. So therefore, yes, there hopefully will be some changes, but you know that all of the changes aren't gonna go away. And I think a lot of the reporting, which has to take place in order to make most of it work, that's gonna be huge for the business office and whatever we can assist with that.
Did you see the New Hampshire News report? It's on my desk. There are possibilities of more plans, health plans, that are gonna be coming available. It's gonna be kind of late, I think, for our budget to
It will
do
be,
them.
and remember, those are more the private insurers that are having these plans available. Remember, we're a part of the risk pools, which are very different, which are very beneficial to the public sector. I don't think that there's probably not the potential of having those marketplace, those new insurers that are coming on to affect
For the,
our pools. We will be able to go out, we'll be able to get a request for quote from the different pools that we belong to, but some of those others that are coming on board are more for the private sector and more for the marketplace choices, options, I should say.
yeah,
What did you tell me when that, the Cadillac tax is going to be 40% over $60,000?
Oh, gosh. And I don't know the
I
exact.
just read where the threshold was 10,000 something, and over that will be a Cadillac.
Right, it's-
Where am I wrong in my
The
figures?
cost of the individual plan, and then the 40% tax comes on the employer. And I have all the documentation in there, so I don't want to misstate anything, but it is very expensive.
now, my understanding, one of the plans is to get a cheaper plan, $2,000 deductible. Is that just for a single plan? Is it for a two-member plan, or is it a family plan?
All of the
Or
above.
all of them?
All of the above.
So, right now, the employee would pick up the first 1,000, and the employer would pick up the second 1,000.
Yeah.
For all those three plans. Not what you told me.
I guess I had it wrong.
There are the 4 options that we presented during negotiations, and I'm not quite sure that we really should have that discussion.
We don't want to talk, I wasn't talking about that, I was just talking
Right,
about
but some
general.
plans in general that we have been provided information about from Interlocal Trust are 4 different plans having different deductibles.
Right,
If we have the $2,000.
let's not get into the plans.
Yep.
All I'm talking about is
The deductibles, if we have $2,000 deductibles.
$2,000
And we
deductible.
still fund 1,000 of it,
for a two-member and a family.
yeah,
That's what I was,
yep,
that's all I was talking about, I
Yep.
wasn't talking about our plans.
yep.
Because Commissioner Babson, somewhere along the way, said that for a family plan, it would cost us like $8,000.
No.
No?
No, what it would if we were to change to a $2,000 deductible per person, the county not funding any of that, the potential for the employee, even with that reduced premium, the
Yeah.
potential for the employee would be to pay $2,000 for the subscriber, which is the employee, the spouse, 2,000 with the spouse, and then 2,000 for a child, one child, because the maximum that the deductible would cover would be $6,000. So the
That's exactly what I
out-of-pocket,
told you.
That's
the
what you told me.
out-of-pocket for the employee, looking at some of those options, could be up to $6,000, which would be devastating for some of the employees
Yeah, it would
here.
be.
Absolutely devastating. Yeah.
Basically, you're forcing them to go out on the exchange and pay the penalty.
And then we would pay a penalty. Yeah.
Okay, what's up? Let's keep moving.
Yeah.
And I'm very glad you were there at those sessions to see what the challenges for the county as well as all private
I
sector
thought it was per plan and not per person.
per person.
So if you got a family of 4,
And we did,
that's 6,000.
and if the county covered 1,000, 1,000, and 1,000, we would only cover the first 3,000, the 3,000, not the first, but the 3,000, and above that, they would be responsible for their deductibles.
But I thought their deduction came first and
It
then.
does.
our
That's what I
It
meant,
does.
that's why I said.
Okay.
would
They
be
have a
responsible.
maximum of $3,000 deductible before we start paying our share.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
for all the members in the family, not just
That's the
one.
That was the
maximum.
same national program that was gonna reduce our cost for Medicare, medical insurance, wasn't it? Wow.
Okay, I guess we know where you stand on your budget.
We've gotta get moving along, because she has to go to school.
I've tried to be very responsible with them.
Yep, okay. You got something there that you wanna,
Oh,
is
these
that
are
strictly for me or for everybody or
for
what?
the commissioners, for you to
Okay.
take a look at. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yes.
I guess that was a benefit of going later?
Yeah, zip zip. It wasn't 2 hours, like.
Is it, you have a copy, right?
Yes, yep, thank you.
Okay, so there isn't really a whole lot of change. The couple things were, the delegation had increased elected officials' salaries
Yep.
by $832,
Mhm.
except for the registry, which was increased by 5,000. So the increase is in there for their salaries.
How come you don't have Ossipee town taxes in there?
Because remember, they took it out last year and split it into the farm,
Oh,
the
right.
nursing home.
Yep, yep.
Because that's where the property is.
And so in some cases, they combine it. In that particular case, they spread it out.
Spread it out, yeah.
Yeah. I did increase the annual report by, $50
Yep.
to be more, to be closer. The,
My guess is we should have gone up more. Should have made it 600. I can't believe we're gonna get it again for $550, $500.
What, annual report?
Yeah.
The way you had 600 in 2013. Whoa. What was it, 900 in
yeah, because it.
2012?
Yeah, cost.
900?
They really came down in their price. A lot of it, I think, is because we send it electronically, so it's a whole lot easier than it used to be. Travel, I kept the same for mileage.
Yep.
I didn't put any new equipment in. And I don't believe we'll need any in the IT section,
Mm-hmm.
unless you guys want a new computer.
Hey, I can't believe what $90 did. I mean, that thing is faster than grease lightning.
What did he do?
He put in a new hard drive.
A booster?
Yeah, did something, turbo booster or something, but boy, it really works. Instead of junking it and paying $1,000 for $90, we get something that really works.
Okay, so the commissioner's budget is down to 231,114
Mm-hmm.
from 237. So it's about 7,000 down.
Don't forget, that's a net, that's after we've taken out
Yeah, I took out IT,
I know.
IT, which is substantial.
3,500 plus
7,000.
7,000. Yeah, so
So
that's where it is.
10,800.
So your budget hasn't changed any.
No, because we didn't put any increases in for wages, which would affect the various lines.
How much overtime have we put on?
I
Put in-
kept it the same as 500.
But how much did we spend in 214? They got 0 right now.
Right.
We haven't had any overtime?
We've maybe had a little bit in October, $100 maybe. Generally it's been 408, 483.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to get from Kathy that same figure we wanted from everybody else. If, in her case, if either she or Kathy Armstrong retire or resign or whatever, what would we have to pay you going out the door? We need to know that figure for
Yeah.
both of you.
For,
What would we call it?
are you not putting it in the budget, are you? Are you trying to get it from the other departments? I mean,
Yes.
What are you trying to,
We're-
what are you
Well-
trying to get?
We could either do it by department, or we could put it into a one lump sum in the commissioner's budget.
To cover
Yeah.
going out the door expenses, which currently aren't budgeted.
We
Right,
don't budget for
right,
it.
right.
And if you and Kathy both left and took your vacation days with you and your sick days,
time.
it would be a pretty good chunk. And if somebody
Well,
else left
and
to
even,
run,
yeah, like every department has,
so
a
we
lot of
And
seasoned-
where have we taken it from in the past?
you just take it from the,
Out of wages?
yeah, yeah. You haven't had,
well, Kathy, our wages can't be that far off in the way we
no,
budget.
no, we budget you haven't, the departments that have had this happen
Yeah,
are departments that have vacancies.
so that makes up.
Yeah, that, you have at the nursing home or at the jail, you have,
Yeah.
or the sheriff, we
So
haven't had any.
basically, we haven't budgeted for it. We've just been lucky enough to have
Right, yeah,
positions that weren't filled.
right, yeah. And
Not a
that's,
smart way to budget.
So, if Kathy goes, and Kathy Armstrong goes, we just have Cheryl out of office
Yeah,
until we can pay the bill.
yeah.
And then when we can pay the bill,
Then we can hire somebody.
then we can hire somebody.
Yeah. Good way to operate.
Did that out loud.
The other thing is, we've been giving some thought, and Jason's talked to Schmidt, Representative Schmidt, about having a lump sum somewhere in here for catastrophic expenses that nobody's accounted for, whether it be illness,
well, I know he has medical bills that, for
the
inmates.
medical bills for the inmates.
that- I think some places have a contingency line towns,
This is Carroll County.
right,
We
I,
can't spell contingency, let alone put it in our budget.
I mean, they do have had that in their budgets, some towns do.
We've got to do it. I mean, it's just crazy that we're operating the way we are.
And that, so,
Well, I think budgets are getting tighter, so if the delegation would say, well, find it within the budget, it's gonna be even more difficult.
Yeah, so we find it in somebody's budget, and then what
Trans-
happens to the stuff that they planned on with that budget after they budgeted for it? And we said, fine. Now we come along and take it and give it to somebody in vacation pay? That makes no sense.
What do we call it, and how much money should we put in there for?
Well, what we gotta do is find out what the total is, David. Because the odds are not the top 3 most expensive people in every department are gonna quit this year.
No,
So we only have to put a portion in, but we gotta have something in there to lighten the load somewhere along the line, if 1 or 2 or 1, and then a second one, which would put a dent in the budget.
would we talk about $10,000 or $12,000?
I would think maybe if they trust us not to spend it, except if this happened, we'd put 20 in.
20.
Well, what does the average person get? I know
well, I was
that
gonna say it's usually around 5,000.
you'd say
For
the average,
anybody, for long terms, you know, if they haven't been
Mhm.
here for, you know, it can be $1,000, but, you know, I hate to say this, but you're probably gonna see it happening because of the employees that we have, you know, that have been here for a long
Yep.
time.
Hmm.
And within the complex,
Yep.
you know.
What do
I
we-
mean, you ask the departments to give you some numbers.
yeah,
is that
we've asked
correct?
them, I think basically we've been asking them for the top 2 or 3 people that would put a dent in their budget if they left.
Okay, so when we're gonna get that back, like, for
Hopefully.
next week? I can send an email out to them
Yeah,
and ask them
yeah,
for
yeah.
it?
Do that. What are we gonna call this?
Jason had a good name. Do you remember what he called it? Oh, you gotta go.
Melissa?
You can give it to us later. But Jason had a good name for it. Oh,
I
it was
don't know if
his
he
for the
called it
medical. His was for the
emergency.
medical.
Right, emergency fund or something, he said, but, I mean, like I say, most towns refer to it, that I've seen, call it a contingency fund.
Yeah.
I can look in the Ossipee Town report and see what they call it. They
Okay.
fund it every year. I did have a question about this real quick before I left, though. The salaries in this budget for the business office, is that 2 people or 3?
Is that what?
Is that 2 people or 3?
3.
It's,
Business office salary, it's actually
it's
2
me.
and a half, 2 3/4.
So where are the other ones?
No, 2,
Or,
I'll tell you.
I was
This-
confused.
The payroll salary is mine, a portion of mine, the rest of it gets charged to the nursing home.
oh, okay.
And then the business office salary is the 2 downstairs.
Okay, that was my,
And then you can see the minute taker wages is separate.
okay.
And then the commissioners are
Are
separate,
the
obviously.
commissioners.
So,
Okay. Just for the notes. All right, sorry, I have to go to school, but I can take the rest of the meeting off the tape. It's gonna stay till you're finished, I think, so. Thanks.
Thank you, Melissa. You do a good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I think the only thing we have got to do is, when we get those figures back, I would guess we'd put in $10,000 with restrictions on it, that it'd only be used for,
To pay an employee that leaves that is owed sick time and vacation time.
yeah,
Or how about personal days? Any
What do they call that?
unfunded
severance package?
No, the thing, that whole, we've had these.
Well, that's pretty
trainings
close,
about
Ed, severance package.
Severance package,
But that's when you terminate somebody, don't you?
when they're,
Unanticipated.
no, not a financial. All those, the trainings that they've been having about succession
Succession planning.
planning.
What do you call it?
They call it succession planning.
Succession planning?
Yeah. So contingency fund for succession planning, I don't know. Because it has to be a wage account.
It doesn't have to be a wage account until you spend it on a wage account, does it?
Right, but I mean, it's a wage account, you know, when you
It's
spend
wa-
it, it's wages,
It's wages and when it gets paid out.
right.
We don't have any revenue, do we?
No,
You said succession account?
yeah, succession. And we could put it,
I would think $10,000 would be enough to put in there with limitations that it not be spent only on that, for that reason. Can't be used to balance a budget, it can't be
Can't be used for anything
Can't
except.
be transferred to another line item.
That's right. Strictly for obligations that we haven't funded when somebody leaves.
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily have to be our office. It could be anybody on the complex.
Right.
yeah, because you have, like I said, you've got the attorney's office.
But we would use up
deeds,
their vacant position
if
money
they
before
have a
we use
vacant-
this.
If they have a vacant,
If they have it, right.
Yeah.
right, if they have one.
Yes.
And it just rolls over from year to year, stays
Right.
there. Okay. All right, you got,
Were you going to wait to hear from the other departments if they figured out some of their top?
Yeah.
Were you-
She's gonna send an email
Decide on
out telling
10?
them they need
So
the
I was gonna say
information.
10 could be one person, a cell swoop, or someone leaving with a lot of vacation, 96 hours or whatever, sick time
Okay.
in there.
all right.
And it ought to be a fund that we don't have to, if we don't use it, that we don't have to, excuse me, if we do use it, that is automatically replenished in the next budget without going through the whole routine.
Well, you gotta put it in.
That's true.
What, we had the IT meeting on
Yep.
Monday.
You got an IT budget?
Well, no. I told everybody to give me their stuff. I do have a breakdown of what it's gonna look like, so you guys can see. I sent it to the department heads, because those are the categories.
Now, this is gonna be in each department.
No, it's
This
its
is gonna be
own,
total.
its own department, yeah.
Right,
But won't it be headed up sheriff's department, HR?
It's gonna be information technology.
Yeah,
Then you have the 017, which let's say is training. Then I'm gonna have a fourth section that will say training for sheriff's department, registry of deeds, you know, I mean, it'll be broken out.
Okay.
But it's all one big, one department.
When you're done, it's one department.
Right,
So we'll be able to look and say, how much did the sheriff pay for licenses this year?
right.
How much did the registry of deeds pay for their software update this year?
Yep.
That's what we want.
Yeah, and just like for us, computer expense contracts, those are like specific to each department for their software, like our software.
mhm.
And the attorney's office has specific, the sheriff's department has specific, the nursing home, the jail, just so that, we have the county-wide contract.
Yeah, and then we'll have the individual breakouts.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's what we want.
yeah. So those were the sections that we came up with as a need for the IT.
I think if you're gonna be putting this in, you ought to put a line for salary.
Well,
It'll be zero, but it'll be
okay,
in
I
there.
can put it in, yeah.
Yeah, we may not use that, come to think of it,
I mean,
because.
Why would you wanna put it in, David? if we're
Well,
gonna-
I haven't said.
Maybe next year, if they decide to hire their own IT person, you'd put it in, but.
because then you have
next
to put
budget-
all the other respective,
Yeah, you gotta, and then you gotta have social
Yeah,
security
yeah.
and Medicaid and everything else.
Yeah.
All to be zero.
right. But I tried, as you can see, the third section, like 097 is the new equipment.
Right.
Mhm.
097 in the budget for every department is new
097.
equipment. Not necessarily for IT, but for whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But so that all new equipment is under 097.
So if you wanna see how much we bought across the campus for new equipment, 097 would pull it up.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Now, we may find that putting bids out for a contract might be less expensive than hiring two people to have round-the-clock coverage.
Right. But we're always, I think the IT committee's recommending wait a year or two to get a better handle on what we're doing.
Okay. So, the sheriff's department, for example, gave us what they're taking out.
okay.
Did they give you anything?
Well, I just have to tell you, he gave me his sheets.
Gave you these
He
sheets?
gave me, just as everyone
Okay.
gave me their sheets, Paula gave me their sheets. When I went to put them in the system
Yeah.
yesterday, I put them in and they were doubling the amounts. So I called our software people and they've been going into my computer to see why it's doing
Oh,
that.
because you signed the same numbers.
No, I mean, anybody's, all of like Paula's budget numbers.
Yeah,
I put them into that column
yeah.
and they doubled them all. The software's having a little
Glitch,
problem.
All right.
about
So-
100% glitch.
Yeah.
It's doubling, so I called them, they went into my computer today, they were looking at their whatever people, and they were, because they can access my computer and
Mhm.
remotely, so that's why the numbers weren't there. I did ours on Monday, and they stayed. When I went in on Tuesday.
So we're not getting a 100% increase in pay? Darn it.
All right, you got the building budget?
No, Jerry's.
He hasn't got it done?
No, well, he's getting somebody's coming tomorrow with some estimates.
For,
I'm
what?
sorry, David, he told me that he wouldn't be ready today. I'm sorry, I forgot to
What was
tell
the
you that.
reason for, what's he gonna
Well,
get
he's-
estimates for?
A couple of things.
Boiler?
No, I don't know what it is, but he did say he had somebody
I
come
know
to
it's
give him
with
some
the
prices.
elevator, and then he's got a couple for the parking lot,
That's what it was the parking lot.
there's some for the parking lot.
And I'm sorry, I should have told
He
you that
gave,
about it.
yeah, but he used the old estimate, mean to redo the parking lot?
Whatever you-
sidewalks?
Whatever you guys
Yeah.
told him to do.
Yeah, it's an old estimate, it's probably
Yeah, so he-
5 years old now.
Yeah, he called one person, they came, and another person's coming tomorrow or
Oh,
something
okay.
like that.
The
So,
Okay.
way the budget's going, I would suggest that we don't even waste our time. and
Yeah,
his
that's right.
time on call the guy up and tell him not to come, because that will be one of the first things the delegation will take out of the budget.
Did you, when you walked over to the nursing home, did you look at the striping? I didn't think it was that bad.
Why, was somebody complaining about it?
Well, it's in the capital improvement for the nursing home.
Oh. To reline?
Reline and there was something else regarding the parking lot. I don't think that has to be done.
No.
Not this year,
This
anyway.
is one of these years that things are so tight that if we don't need it, we don't budget for it. We can just squeeze another year out of it.
mm.
You put together something like that for us again?
Yep. Okay, so,
where this year will you be putting in the funds for the new nursing home,
What do you mean? Oh, the bond payment?
the bond payment? Where does that go?
Well, we always put it in.
Commissioner's budget?
It's always in the 100 fund as it has been, the 100 fund for bond payment and interest payment. I believe for this year, we have to make that in the nursing home budget.
Okay, yeah, okay, that's where it should
Take it out of the
go.
100 fund and put it in the 300 fund.
Okay.
And
How much is that?
the,
$1.2 million, isn't it? $1.1 million, $1.2 million?
well, the principal is 1,175,000. The principal stays the same. The interest goes down.
Yeah.
Right.
So, it's the principal and the interest, and I believe the interest is around 600 this year, or for 2015. So you know, under our long-term debt,
Yeah,
we have, in 2014, retired the
Water?
The water one. So that's like $148,000
mm-hmm,
that will not be in the budget this year.
right, right.
And in 2017,
The jail goes out of it.
the jail is the last payment on the jail of $515,000 plus interest.
Okay.
So going
Some good
forward,
news.
going forward, the only one is the nursing home.
Yep. When is that jail due?
2017.
17?
So we have 3 years left on it.
I hope the building lasts that long.
You'll be here, I won't.
That's right.
You can check it out.
I'll keep an eye on it.
And on the property liability insurance, the workers' comp, and the unemployment, I should be getting those rates this week,
Mm-hmm,
because we don't have them yet.
okay. How much of the budget can you put together?
Most of my computer works. I got the regional appropriations requests have come in,
Oh, yeah, we gotta look at those.
so those all came in.
Have you opened any of them?
I opened a couple of them.
Are they the same or are they increased?
Let's see if I printed those, any of those. Let's see. Most of them are the same, like,
We got Conservation District,
Conservation
we
District.
got Cooperative Extension.
Yep, let's
Well,
see,
that's not
cooperative,
NCRS or
cooperative extension went
RSVP.
up, a little less than 3,000, cooperative extension.
We got Conservation District and RSVP.
I-
The victim, the
Child.
advocacy, no, what is it?
The child.
Child advocacy
Is it?
is the same.
The same?
I think it was, I have to look for sure.
And the other
One
one?
of them, all of them stayed the same. One went up $5,000. And I think it was RSVP went up $5,000.
5,000?
Yeah.
What, 5,000?
Well, they do a lot of good work. It saves us a lot, saves the county a lot of money. What else we gotta look at, outside of administration building?
We got the attorney, victim, witness,
Oh,
administration building.
I thought we had them on the agenda for today.
No,
She wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready?
Well,
she wasn't.
she wasn't ready.
She won't be ready now,
Almost,
she's not,
almost.
didn't get reelected. Huh.
So, and we've got nursing home, unless there's changes, unless you requested them to make changes. I'll have it all for next week. Everything will be in.
Okay.
and then you can start.
Everything but wages.
Everything but wages.
And we've got to get, we've got to get, county attorney in here next Wednesday. Who else?
Jerry.
The farm, Jerry,
The farm's all done.
yeah, Jerry, and who?
That's it.
That's it.
We didn't do any water and sewer.
You
We
did
did that
with-
under the farm.
You did that with Will, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's all except for the attorney and Jerry.
Okay,
And then, like I said, unless you wanted
and the outside.
somebody to come back, because you got registry of
I don't think we
deeds.
made any changes.
We did the registry of deeds already.
Yes, we did, yeah.
We've done them all. Those are the only two we got left to do.
And that's what Ann had said, if you had any changes you were gonna make, if she could come and speak to those changes.
Would you send a letter to Lisa Scott and ask her to set up a meeting with Leo Lasad, the registrar in Stratford County? He told me that the expenses of putting everything online could come out of the surcharge money, which means any equipment, and that's what that surcharge line is for.
Mhm.
I just, she talked with me over the phone and came up with something like $28,000 or $30,000 to put everything online. I think if she talked, and at that time, I think she thought it came out of, well, it has to go in our budget though, doesn't it? Even though we take it out of surcharge.
David, I got another concern. If she's gonna put this online next year,
Yeah?
and we had revenue of $100,000 for copies alone,
Yep.
that's gonna change the budget substantially. She ought to come in here and tell us, if she's gonna be the registry of deeds, what she's gonna do so that we can make adjustments in our revenue and our expenses.
I didn't finish my point of meeting with Leo Lasad.
Okay,
He claims he's brought in more income than was done the old way.
okay, well.
That's why I think she needs to go down, spend a day, make an appointment with him, and learn all of the ins and outs. Because he claims he used surcharge money, redacted whatever it has to be redacted, and he actually made money on some kind of copying. I'm not sure what it is, but that's what she needs to do. Now she's the newly elected one. She needs to go down and spend some time with him.
Well, somebody, if that's true, somebody's gotta come in, David, and tell us what numbers to plug in for next year's budget.
That's what she should do after talking with Leo, if she does it right away. And if, well, we could always put in 30,000 or 28,000, and the delegation can make changes later. But I think it's,
I'm concerned with not with what it's gonna cost to go online, but the loss of revenue. If we lose $100,000 worth of revenue and it costs us 28 for we're out 128,000. How's she gonna, she's the new registrar of deeds, how's she gonna make it up?
being brand new, she's not gonna know until she talks with somebody that has
Exactly.
done it. So, she needs to quickly get down and talk with Leo. Leo would be easy to talk with, and I know she's been to Belknap County, and that's where she came up with some figures.
You don't think we should ask her to justify if she's gonna do that? This is a huge change from what
That's
general
what she
procedure.
campaigned on, and that's what people want.
I know, but somebody's gotta give us the figures to put into our budget. If this isn't gonna be Ann Eaton's budget, if she's gonna go online.
Commissioners can put it in the budget, the delegation can take it out very easily,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
We need to come up with a figure to put in our budget as to what it would cost. I think she told me on the phone it was 28,000. Leo may have something else, but it's not coming out of taxpayers' money, it's coming out of the surcharge,
Mhm.
okay?
Okay. All right.
So, you're going to, what's the 2 letters you're gonna do?
I'm gonna tell Lisa to
Yeah.
contact Leo. I'm
And
gonna
the other one?
send an email out to the department heads about the succession or the funds for people, long-term people that would possibly.
Okay, right,
They're leaving.
okay. Okay, you better inform Howie that,
Yeah.
that bond payment is gonna be in his budget.
Mhm. I'll keep it also the same account number so that for historic, when someone wants to know, it'll just be the 300 fund with the, and so that there's a record, so they,
Oh, I know. Yeah, I don't know how we didn't do that, but anyway. Do we have to be bonded? Who is bonded in the county? Back a while ago,
it's all
Since
part
I've
of our
been here-
property liability.
not necessarily.
No, the question was, didn't the question come up while we were up at the Association of Counties about being bonded? It came up somewhere.
Yes, it
Who
did.
who was bonded?
Come up
Who
here.
wasn't?
The grant review committee.
That's right, it was you,
It
Ed.
came up
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yep.
No, it's all part of the property liability insurance. There's the surety bond in there. It's all part of it.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason we use Primex for our property liability insurance, because of the nursing home. There's very few carriers out there that do the nursing home,
Yeah.
so, but Primex does.
I knew it got changed right after I got elected, because the 3 commissioners were bonded, the county attorney, I think, was bonded, the treasurer was bonded. There was a lot of people that were bonded
A separate,
separately.
yeah, now it's all
And now it's all
inclusive.
done in one. Ah, okay.
Inclusive.
That
I
answers
can
that
get
question.
you that information.
Okay. Anything else?
Public input.
Okay.
Public
I'm
input,
gonna
Ed?
go now.
Don't
I'll
have any-
save it for next week.
Well, you can bring it up now.
I get-
We wasted the whole day.
I have
mean,
a school
we spent the
board
whole
meeting
day.
waiting.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you're not on the school board.
Not yet.
Oh, I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Okay, congratulations.
Second. All in support of the motion, say aye.
Aye.